Welcome to the BitGeek podcast. I'm your host, Ron Avis, and sitting with me at the desk to my left is my co-host, the Prince of Pixels,
Nick Wright.
Also returning with us in the middle chair is our special guest, the chairman of the Chinese knockoff,
Martin Reimer.
And today we're going to be debating what other 15 games should be on the PlayStation Classic. Guys, this should be a really fun episode, I think.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Always welcome.
Definitely. And we like to have you on for a ranking episode, and this initially was going to be kind of a ranking episode, and then we were going to just discuss the games that we thought of those games might be on the PlayStation Classic. But then Nick said, why don't we just do the episode about the PlayStation Classic, and then we'll just talk about the games. And it'll be a more interesting topic.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, because we did already kind of talk about it, like our favorite PlayStation games, but we didn't really, I guess, officially like rank them. The way we've done with like three people.
Right. In the past, we have avoided rankings when it was just you and I. Yeah. We would just kind of come up with 10 of our favorite, right. And then we would each pick 5, and then we'd talk about it from there.
But I just knew that if we were given like our predictions of the remaining 15, since we know 5 games that are already going to be on the system, which we might as well say those 5 now. What were they? So Jumping Flash, Tekken 3, Ridge Racer Type 4, Final Fantasy VII, and Wild Arms, that we know have already been announced will be on the system. Yeah. So what remaining 15 games, because I think they've said 20 will be on it.
Total of 20.
And,
yep.
So I just knew, because, there's kind of the thought that, we could each do 5, but I knew that we would have differences of opinions, and Martin usually is like the wild card. That
I'm usually out in left field. I've got some crazy ones, but that's all right.
He'll have like, and it ended up being the case that he had more that were unique choices. Yeah. Because a lot of them, that we would... Actually, only one. There's only one game that we all 3 said, and then quite a few that 2 of us said.
Right.
And then
But before we go there, though, I throw something out to you guys. Why do you think they went this route, but with only releasing 5 games at this point?
Announcing 5.
Announcing 5.
Yeah, they're giving like a little. I think to get people to talk about it. They're just going to tease you with 5, and see. I think it's Sony trying to have a little bit of fun with their fans.
Get people guessing, kind of like we're doing.
Yeah. People devoting whole episodes of a podcast to
They're probably out there tabulating the highest ranked
Wouldn't that
games.
be funny if that's what it was? They were just trying to get like a consensus of what other people believed.
Yeah. So
they have no idea.
So what else do people want?
Yeah, right. Well, to what you were saying, Nick, I was actually really surprised when we were revealing some of what we had said, because we each kind of did our own 15.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I'm going to say it, shocked to hear some of the like games that were left off people's lists. And there's
being one of them.
20 games.
There's intelligent
that's really
reasoning
hard.
behind it. It's not just for shock value, but I was shocked.
Yeah, and I'm shocked at a game you left off.
Right. Well, it'll be interesting. This is we're not gonna do like one then the other and the other. This is gonna be a lively conversation.
Right.
And we're gonna try to come to a consensus on the 20. And what I'd like to do is we've got the 5. If we can all agree that a game belongs on the 20, then we'll just add it to the list until we've got 20 we can agree on.
I'm good with that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and then we can argue it out. Like when we get to those 18, 19, 20 games, those slots, we'll be like, but we'll have to come up with something eventually.
I do think there's going to be a couple instances where we may just have to agree on, like, there's going to be some kind of entry of this one series.
Yeah.
Rather than a specific, no, I think number 2 is going to be in. No, number 1's going to be, one of them for sure will be. I think we could all agree on that.
Maybe. See, I have a theory, though. I have a couple of theories. I don't know if this is going to be the last PS1 classic that we're going to see. There could be other ones.
Yeah.
A Series 2 at some point.
Really?
Because if you think about it, there's
You don't
so
think
many
they'll
great
move on to
games.
PlayStation 2 or whatever?
I think they will if
I
they
don't know.
get that far with emulation. Like if it's too expensive, this may be PlayStation's only shot at this, at a classic, console.
Yeah, I don't know.
you
I
never
don't
know.
know if they would do like a version 2 with different titles.
They might. Or what I was saying is like, since this is a $100 machine, it's kind of pricey for it's.
Yeah.
It's kind of like pricing out of that novelty range a little bit, It's
I could almost see like having it being able to connect to the internet.
yes,
And then you can,
but possibly add more games.
add
later.
more games. Yeah.
And that way,
That would be nice.
do
yeah.
it naturally so that the modders don't have to do it themselves. which
Yeah,
they-
because we will do it. If there's any decent amount of size of memory on the system, like dozens of more games.
Plug
are
in a
gonna
hard
add.
drive to
I
it
mean,
or something.
Right, or a
you
thumb
know?
drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would absolutely be the way to go, though.
It just seems like they could afford to
have
add
it
some
come
sort
with
of.
20, and if
Yeah.
you want more,
I think you guys are giving Sony way too much credit. I think they're totally going to drop the bomb on this.
yeah.
I really think this is something that they are like, look, we're not selling the Vita anymore. We're really not pushing the PlayStation 3. PS4 is really the only console. It's getting saturated in the market. Let's put something out there that's like the decent price range that kids may want to get.
Yeah.
But again, this isn't even
This
for
isn't for
kids.
kids,
This is
though,
like for
yeah.
the classic gamer,
Yeah.
right?
It's for us.
I
So-
do seriously doubt it would connect to the internet, but it'd be cool.
It would be cool.
I'm not predicting that it will, but
Yeah, I'm not
I could
gonna
see
predict-
that. I could
I
see that
doubt it
maybe being
would.
a case more than releasing Volume 2, like per se.
Yes, I agree with that.
So how surprised were you?
Maybe.
Maybe. So you never know. Sony's always just done their own thing, and
I mean, we did finally see them come out with cross-platform play.
yeah, they budged.
So, I mean, they
can't
are
believe it.
listening.
Yeah, Fortnite.
I mean, for whatever reason, they're finally going to do it.
And it just goes to show how massive Fortnite's popularity is too. Though.
Yeah.
They didn't do it for what was the car game, the like soccer style car game that was real big.
Gosh.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
everybody.
I can't think of it. I can picture it, but I can't think of
All
the name.
three of our minds just wiped. But but there are games or like Minecraft.
Well, Minecraft is what originally came to my mind. I mean, I don't know if it's so popular now, but definitely like, a few years ago.
yeah.
With a certain generation,
that would have
it's
been
pretty
the one
popular,
that
yeah.
would have been amazing if you could do cross-platform on whatever system you're playing it on, PC, whatever.
I think there's still so much bad blood between Sony and Nintendo. Like they're just doing this to like steal Nintendo's thunder. I mean,
Could
how
be.
surprised were you guys to even see that they made this announcement? Because I feel like it came out of nowhere.
I thought it was a fake headline, quite
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, it's
When I
like,
saw it, I was like,
the
what?
very first day, I think you and I both were like, is it April Fool's Day?
Yeah. Instantly, I'm like, what date is it? Yeah. But there it was. I mean, it just came out of nowhere. And I mean, nobody even was thinking it would be nice. Like I never once saw a video of some YouTuber going, hey, wouldn't it be cool if like they did a PlayStation Classic? Everybody's just looking ahead to what Nintendo's going to do.
Right.
Are they going to do the Game Boy? Are they going to do an N64? And will Nintendo go ahead and put out that N64 Classic? I think they are.
Right.
I believe there were some patents that they were waiting on, I believe. And, they probably had their amount of games picked.
The
a long
only
time
thing
ago.
that seems
I'm sure.
weird to me if they were to do a Nintendo 64 Classic is just the controller.
That's going to be the thing.
What
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, it's just so big and
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to fit the mold of the small classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be bigger than the
Because
console.
I mean, the console is always shrunk down, and the controller is like always the actual size of what the original controller was.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it just seems weird with it's so big.
Right.
I don't think it really fits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean-
so this is the size of it right here. It's big.
Well, hold on now. I mean, how big is it compared to this thing? I mean,
pretty
that's,
much. Yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
good
that's,
size.
that's pretty
difference.
huge.
So the boxes alone are going to be like way bigger, and then they're only going to put one in, which kind of defeated the whole like.
What would they do since that controller had the spot in the back for the memory card?
Yeah.
What are they going to do with that cavity? Like just
Put
leave
the
Empty space.
Princetta's going to
Yeah.
be in there.
Do what?
Princetta?
What's
You guys
that?
have?
Oh, yeah, it's all over the
okay.
internet.
All right.
Oh, okay.
I know
All
what
right.
he's talking
Okay.
about.
All right.
It's like Princess Peach with like Bowser or something.
Oh
crossed.
yeah. Okay. Isn't
Yeah.
there a mod for that? I guess for
Yeah, there's
I don't
some
even
kinda-
know where it started, but it's
not
been
sure.
like everywhere.
Okay. I just hadn't really. I've never heard anybody say it out loud.
Now there's like Buetta or something.
Yeah, I saw that
I don't know.
too.
So yeah, you
Sorry.
got Sony. Sony is like, well, we win it. We won in on this, and it will be interesting to see how seriously they take it.
Yeah.
Martin has so little confidence in it. I feel like
I
they're
do.
really
I mean,
gonna.
I honestly do, but
I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna see how successful the NES. I mean, there was a month or two there where the NES Classic was the top selling console in the world or something like that. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah.
So they're it's as good a seller as the original NES Classic or the original NES, I would think. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but it's got to be up there.
I think
They couldn't keep them on the shelves.
I think I'm personally putting my hopes kind of low, my expectations low, so that when they do come out with
That's no fun
all
for the
the good
episode,
games.
Martin. Let's get excited. Let's really talk about like what's going to be now. But yeah, this isn't our dream 20. This is we're going to try and actually debate this what we realistically think it's going to be, and
Right.
if you have good reasons to
in the real world.
in the real world, how seriously are they going to do this? How many of these games are just going to be Sony games? Will they pay other developers to whatever it takes to get licenses?
Yeah.
And that's where
We
I
already know they're doing it with Tekken.
I kind of have a feeling that the majority would probably be like Sony Computer Entertainment games.
Yeah.
But like you just said with Tekken, I mean, we know Namco has Tekken 3 at least. I can't remember what the others were. Like Final Fantasy VII. So we know that they've got a foothold in there.
Final Fantasy VII was one of those games I was like, it's got to be on there, and it was.
Namco's
sure,
also
for
Ridge
sure.
Racer.
I think Wild Arms
Who
is
was
kind
Wild
of
Arms? I forget.
Hmm?
Wild Arms. Who?
Oh,
it was like a Ubisoft.
I forget.
I think we looked it up, but yeah, it wasn't anybody.
It wasn't anybody super
Yeah, it was
notable,
kind
I
of.
don't think.
So,
And if it was Ubisoft, it was
so
way
like
before.
yeah,
they were
of
now.
all of them that they've announced, Jumping Flash I think was the only one that's like Sony Computer
Oh
Entertainment.
wow, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes that theory that most of them would be,
I mean, you're right. It's like every time we try to make sense of the list, we just contradict ourselves right away.
Well, they've got to get the pre-orders right. I mean, they Final Fantasy
Oh, yeah.
VII is going to get a lot of people. It's like the Mario. It's going to be on every platform
yeah,
now.
Yeah. It's
that
got to be
Sony's
on there.
got.
So they're just letting people
Yeah.
know right away it's there.
Yeah.
Wild Arms is, I think, more of a cult classic favorite of mine. I think.
I've never really played it.
I never
I'm
got
not
into
familiar
it,
with it.
but
I know as far as its history goes, it was released just prior to Final Fantasy VII, so I know it has a lot of diehard fans, but it didn't get a whole lot of time to shine before Final Fantasy VII came along, and just everything that came before it just didn't matter anymore.
yeah.
So maybe a lot of those people out there who never got a chance to play Wild Arms will be happy, or it could just be the game that's on there to round it out at 20 and nobody cares. I don't know.
It's just another RPG on the list.
It's just another RPG on the list, but the PlayStation was a big RPG machine. So
Huge.
Will there be other RPGs?
I think they're going to have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and sports titles, I don't know. Racing titles, I mean, what else is going to be on there?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to bother with sports titles. And I know they put, they put Punch-Out, for example, and Tecmo Bowl. But with the pixel graphics, I think it's...
I kind of feel like, as far as sports, you'll see... I mean, we already know there's Ridge Racer, but I think there will be some other car games.
Yeah, driving will be your
definitely, yeah.
sports entry, probably.
If they don't go with like a Grand Theft Auto or this guy right here.
The original Grand
Turismo.
Theft Auto was on PlayStation.
Yeah.
It
wasn't
was,
That-
yeah.
I forgot about that
It was
one.
the top down.
That wasn't even one I even considered.
Yeah.
That was
I didn't,
super popular back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For me,
Extremely.
like it didn't even start until 3.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like it was one of those games that was critically well received, but I don't think everybody bought it.
But I am familiar with the old top-down one.
I tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried it. I just didn't like how, it was too hard to play for me, I thought. There was just too much going on, and the screen was moving too fast. And but it was interesting. It was really interesting. I liked the concept of it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But they made a really wise choice to go all 3D on the 3.
Yeah.
So, All right, so we got the 5, and I think
So-
we're pretty satisfied with the 5 we got so
How
far.
you want to do it? You want to save like the ones that we all had like in common, or at least 2 of us. For
I
the
think
most
we should
part,
get
had in
those
common
on the
for
list
last?
first.
You want to do that
let's get it
first?
out
Yeah,
of the way.
let's.
Okay.
You said
Yeah.
there was one that we all 3 agreed on.
Okay, so yeah, the one that we all 3 had said we all agreed on
Yeah.
was Metal Gear Solid.
Okay, Metal Gear Solid's going.
Of course.
All right,
Amazing game.
that is a no-brainer.
Yeah, that.
It-
I
it-
remember when that came out and I got it, and it was just like the intro of it was just so amazing to me because it was like it was starting a movie.
Oh,
It would
yeah.
have like the credits, and it was just kind of like going through like a scene of like
And the
he
3D
was like in his
alone.
scuba gear, and,
Yeah.
and he's getting to where he needs to be, and it was just like a movie opening. It was just you look at it now and everything's like so pixelated
Yeah.
and everything, but
the story stands up though.
at the time
I'm
was
guessing. I mean,
very cinematic.
Kojima, if nothing else, is like a really he does things very visually interesting,
Yeah.
and there's usually a pretty interesting story. And I just was never a fan of Metal Gear like on the NES, and I never
Well,
played
it's-
this one
and
all
it's
that
kinda
much.
I never
like-
even got into it because I wasn't
kind of
aware
like
of
the
it.
Grand Theft Auto thing. It's like it didn't even exist to me until this one came out.
Right.
But this game was so big. I mean, I feel like this is the game that, I think Sony was already like turning the tide and winning the console race at this point.
Yeah.
But this is the game that just everyone was like, this is not possible on the N64. Everybody's going to get a PlayStation for this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was just like the final straw that broke the camel's back. And, it was over at that point.
It was definitely a system seller.
It was kind of
Yeah.
over even before that, but in 1998, this was the game that everybody was talking about. It was on the cover of all the magazines. It
And
was
it would
like
do
Game of
like
the Year.
those cool things like that Psycho Manus, battle. You know what I'm talking
I
about?
like
that
Where
stuff. Yeah.
he like looks at your memory card
Oh,
and
yeah.
he sees a save file for
Yeah.
like Castlevania, and you like Konami games.
I can see into your mind. So, you like Suikoden. So, you like Azure Dreams? You like Castlevania, don't you?
That's
you're
your
like,
Kojima factor right
What
there.
the heck?
I enjoy like any time when the game messes with you like that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And that game had the rumble. I think it was like the first game that really took the rumble into account.
Yeah.
Because there were like in the very beginning there was like a helicopter taking off and you could feel that.
Yeah.
It was super awesome. Which comes into mind now because the PS1 Classic, it's not going to have any of the analog sticks.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's going to even have rumble in it. I
don't
mean, I know originally it didn't, but I'd be curious if they would put that in there.
Yeah, I don't believe they've
there, I see it
commented
on the
on it.
box right there, like analog compatible
Yeah.
and vibration function compatible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, like in our next pick, I think we should go into that a bit more too, because there's a game that a lot of people I noticed put on their lists that we all thought about, and it's like that's not going to happen. Speaking of the analog controls, but yeah, Metal Gear Solid. I mean, it's. I always really admired it. It's the kind of game I would like to watch someone else play because I don't like playing the games where you sneak around. I've never liked them.
Yeah.
And there's so many really quality good ones out there that people love.
You're more run and gun.
I think I'm the exception. Like I always thought that people wanted to play games because it was the run and gun exciting. Not the sneaking around.
I love the sneak around.
I feel like this game kind of kicked off that phenomenon. It's not that there weren't other games that did that, but this is the game that I think all the copycats started coming along.
Yeah.
Like what was that?
Siphon Filter, I know.
Well, there was a series of games that came out on the Xbox, and oh gosh, what was that?
Splinter Cell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Splinter Cell was to me like the big copycat
Yeah.
version of Metal Gear, and
Definitely.
I kind of hated that. I was like, not more of these games, less of these games.
I
But
never got into them, but I remember like seeing them and thinking like, oh, that looks amazing.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
it really kind of. I mean, you've always liked that stuff for sure. I did like the fact though that you could like climb inside a box or something and like sneak
the
around like that.
orange crate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
And it was tense. Like it really gave you a in it like this really tense feeling all the time.
Yeah,
and
like,
I guess it's why
the audio,
Oh, yeah.
would do that because like when they would see you and it would do like
Yeah. Yep.
That's very like famous now.
yeah.
Yeah, that's where it started right there. So yeah, I think this game is a pretty safe bet to be on there. I don't know how they're going to get around like any sort of rumble technology. That's a good point, Martin. I didn't even think of that because I didn't really ever play that game.
They may just
much.
admit it. It's just not there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you don't have to have it.
But
Right?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, it benefited from it, but you didn't like have to have it.
Right.
So they're already lowering the bar with the
Yeah.
console.
I
In my
wonder-
mind, it's like no dual analog. It's like,
You're going to have to make some
Okay.
concessions with these
No
later
rumble.
release systems.
All
Somewhere.
right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'd tease though about the next game we should talk about, and it was on some lists, and at first I kind of thought it would be on there too, but the game I'm talking about is Ape Escape.
Yeah, I originally had it on my list, and I guess you both thought about it, but came to the conclusion before I did that, that's not going to happen because we've already seen the controller and it doesn't have an analog. And
Right.
Yeah.
Ape Escape required analog.
Yeah, and we did some digging around, and it's hard to get a definitive answer, but I'm pretty satisfied from other people.
Yeah, I've read somewhere that because I was kind of digging around myself too, and that said like it was like the first and I guess also
Possibly the only PS1 game. Yeah.
that required it.
I see.
So
Because there are definitely games that came out after that started taking more advantage of the analogs.
yeah,
Yeah.
And it made the gameplay experience better. But that one had like gimmicky mechanics in it that you had to have.
yeah, because at first it just seemed like such a PlayStation game.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're naming PlayStation games, Ape Escape comes to mind, and then I
Yeah.
realized like, but I guess it can't be on there.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, that's why I want to
So I
have this
took it off.
conversation because like we were going to come to that eventually, I guess.
Yeah.
But, and it's possible they could come up with some sort of alternative control scheme maybe to make it work. But I don't know if that was ever included in the original game.
Was there a specific game mode?
Well, no, because
or
it was required. Like we're pretty sure that it was required.
like a puzzle that required it, or I can't imagine.
The only thing I can remember, because I think I rented it once maybe or something. I didn't buy it, but I definitely remember playing it.
I remember playing it once, but I don't really remember too much about it.
You needed it to row a boat at some point in the game. Like you got in a boat and you would kind of like do the analog left and
Oh,
right,
I
and it looked
see.
like they were the oars, sort of. You
Yeah.
know, and that was one of the mechanics. You couldn't do that without the analog because
Sure.
you've only got one controller on the left and buttons on the right.
Mm.
So I don't think Ape Escape's going to be on the list. Sorry, people out there who are looking forward to that. I just
Sorry,
don't-
internet.
I don't believe it's going to happen.
All right, so you want like the next one. So the rest of these games, only two of us
Yeah.
really had on our list.
Yeah, this next couple of games are games that a couple of us feel really strongly about, and one of us, for whatever reason, said. I don't
Yeah,
think
so Castlevania Symphony of the Night, only two of us picked. I had it on my list.
I had it on my list.
Martin.
Martin,
I
you
would,
wanna-
I would love for it to be on the list, but I just don't think Sony's going to put it on this edition of the system.
I can't see how you could have.
I
a
would love
PlayStation
to be
Classic
wrong, but
without Castlevania.
here's
Symphony
the
of the Night.
reason. I mean, it's coming out for PlayStation 4. They want you to buy it on the PlayStation 4. They don't want to sell it to you on this classic system.
But does Sony care? Are they that callous?
I didn't
or
even
do they
realize
care
it was
that
coming
little?
to PlayStation 4.
Yeah, it's
It
like
comes with Rondo of Blood.
Yeah.
It's like a
yeah,
Oh,
and it,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah, and it's new. It's like a new thing too. So the timing,
I mean,
it's
it is
not
on
coming out until December. So
Yeah.
like, it's not like that game's gonna rule the charts for several months.
right. I mean, it is on PSN as a PlayStation game, but I don't think you can play any of those on the PS4.
Here's my perspective on it. Like, if they are that greedy and decide not to put it on there for that reason, most people are gonna not buy this console for that reason, just because they're gonna be like, how could you do that to us? We're out of protest. We're not buying this.
Yeah.
Even
You're
though we
still
could
gonna
play
buy
this
it.
on.
You're still gonna buy it.
Nah, I mean, it's pre-ordered. I do have a
I was
pre-order.
gonna say, well, I guess I've already bought it. So.
I kind of and I love it too,
It
just for the
didn't.
novelty.
I mean, the
guess.
PS1
Like, I just-
Classic didn't sell out in first day. I mean, it
That's
lingered
true.
around for a while.
Yeah, unlike the NES and the SNES Classic, you could still get pre-orders the next day.
And here,
Some places
you can
sold
do
out.
pre-orders.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't even do
True.
pre-orders of
True.
the others.
No, the pre-orders were
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Some would do pre-orders, but they were done in like
That was a cool thing right from the start. Like, oh, I can pre-order. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
yeah. Amazon sold out of their stock, but I mean, here's the other thing too, guys. We don't know how many of these are going to get canceled too. Like, I don't know. They've really talked about how many they plan to put out there.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What we've
How
seen
many
in the
consoles?
past, places like Walmart will have no problems taking your pre-order and then
Yeah.
canceling
True.
after the fact. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah,
I think
Walmart
just
just
a cash
immediately
grab.
goes, "Oh, your thing got delayed. We don't know when we'll get more, so we're canceling your pre-order."
I'm so mad at Walmart. Well, they really pulled a fast one on the SNES
Amazon.
people, because I'll never forget when the SNES Classic was right around the time people were expecting pre-orders. I think there was a mistake, and they put their pre-orders live out of nowhere. And of course people were looking for it because, you know, like you can get alerts and set it up pretty easily. I do it. And it sold out in like a few seconds. And everybody's like, aha, I got my pre-order. And then the next day, like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed out. And then they canceled. They came out and it's like, that was an error, you know, and it sucks. And I wasn't one of the people. So like I wasn't in my feelings necessarily about it, but I could kind of understand, you know, they might get in trouble for doing that. And it could have been a mistake, because I don't think the people at Walmart are, you know,
The good people of Walmart.
the good people of Walmart, I don't think they care. You know, they just,
because they just done it again now with, you know, they've been re-releasing G1 Transformers.
Yeah.
And we pre-ordered the G1 Starscream and Bumblebee.
yeah, you got Starscream and Bumblebee.
I'm not even going to attempt to try and pre-order any
And-
of those.
And we got pre-orders in. And we're
Yeah.
like, yes.
Yeah.
And then, shipments went to Canada, and we're not sure when we're going to get any more.
So we're
So
just
we
gonna go ahead and-
canceled your pre-order.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'll wait. Don't cancel it.
Yeah.
Just let me, if it's
Well,
delayed a couple
It's
weeks.
like, okay, so the first shipment went to Canada. You still think you're getting them sometime,
Yeah,
right?
right. You're not just
Well,
going to like,
I don't care. I'll wait.
yeah. As long as I know I'm getting one. And I just got one today, I'm happy to say. Like, and I had to like, you know, beg and plead with a manager to go in the back, because, you know, I look on BrickSeek or whatever, and I know exactly when they get them and how many they're getting. And they never put them out on the shelves. They're always act clueless.
Yeah, you got to ask, can you go look in the back? I think you got one.
Yeah, and you're trying to be kind of delicate about it. You know, let me go back. I'll find it. You
Is
know,
it bad when the customer knows what's in the warehouse?
it's really bad. And you know, Laura she had to calm me down because I was so upset. Because like I know you have it back there, and they just literally don't care. You know, because they'll look on the shelf where it should be, and they'll just go. And I'm like, yeah.
You don't see it on the shelf, so we don't have it.
Clearly, it doesn't exist in the store because, you know, we couldn't possibly have not just put it out yet.
He called me and he tried to ask if he could buy two to get one for me. They wouldn't let him.
They wouldn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They wouldn't let him.
Yeah. Well, I think I kind of made the manager mad. Kind of like I was pretty insistent this time because I went up there once before to try and get a Devastator. The night I saw they got a pre-order, and they
There's
they
that
just would not-
Transformers
It's that
guy.
I know this is like
It's the Rescue Rangers guy.
I don't care. I don't care.
I remember you when you were a kid. I worked at Toys R Us, and you kept calling every day.
I have no problem bothering these people because I mean you're there already to work. You might as well like make somebody happy, right? It's not like I'm asking for the world,
I keep you employed, damn it.
and I'm not. I don't. And it's not like I walk out there like right away like I know you have it. Go back there and get it for me because you're an employee and I'm a customer and I want it. You know, I'm always just kind of like I think possibly maybe you have 6 exactly. And they're probably in a box just like this side. Oh, here's a
on
picture.
shelf 5A. Yeah, go.
And what happens, like, I talked to, like, 3 different people, and I get a manager to go back there, and she walks out like, we had it, duh. You know? And I was like, oh, I can't imagine that. So anyways, but Walmart sucks. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Back to the topic at hand. So, yeah. No,
It's not going to be on the game system.
So, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, I'm going to put on here.
Castlevania will absolutely be there.
I'm going to put it on here. It's going to be
You
on.
guys, post in the comments if you think it's going to be on there or not, based on when the announcements are made. But
So Martin's
here's the
argument
thing.
is like it's they're not putting it on there because it's going to be for sale for the first time on PS4.
yeah, And I quite honestly, that should have been one of the first in the top 5 announcement. Like, why not?
They
right?
gotta play a little
Why
coy,
not?
right? I guess.
Yeah.
Well, but it's like, why not just release the announcement of the games? My fear is that the other games are going to be kind of crappy.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I reserved it on GameStop, and then the next day I canceled my reservation, my pre-order.
Because I started thinking, oh man, it's not gonna have Castlevania.
No, I started thinking like, wait a minute, wait a minute. I remember when like the PS Classics came out on the PlayStation Network, and we wanted a bunch of more stuff, and they didn't listen to us back then.
Yeah.
And like, I don't really think they're gonna listen to the fans on this one either.
Yeah.
They're just as like a cash grab right now. Yeah. That's my theory, and I really hope I'm wrong.
Okay.
But
I just think they want to stick it to Nintendo. I really do. Yeah. Part of me just believes that they remember that incident back in like '94 or whatever it was, or '93. I don't know when Nintendo was like, "We're going to be with Philips now," and Sony was like, "We will crush you," and then in fact they did just a few years later. But you know. And how about the name Classic? They're even kind of like stealing the naming conventions. Like they could have came up with something else. Even like Mini would have been acceptable because
the PlayStation Retro, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And this isn't even like the Nintendo doesn't have a an exclusivity on the idea of a Mini. Like the Sega, like poor Sega's like, we got one too, and like. You know, people kind of care, but not really.
Yeah, theirs are like in between like knockoffs.
Well, there's been so many
ones.
like generic ones.
Yeah, like those Atari ones.
Yeah, like Bed Bath and Beyond. You know, like you kind of like you didn't treat it with respect when you could have been the first ones to do it. Right. So we don't kind of care anymore, and I think they're just content sticking all their games onto their consoles anyway now too.
Yeah.
Like, they're just fine with that. Okay, so like we're gonna go ahead and say that Symphony of the Night's the 7th. Martin's he's protesting it, but he's only protesting it because he just really believes Sony's gonna screw him over. Okay,
all right.
They've never done that before.
Yeah. So the next one I've got, I'm gonna give you two at once here because two of us said one and two of us said this other one, and they're kind of related.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Crash Bandicoot and Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back.
Who doesn't believe Crash will be on there?
I absolutely think Crash will be on in some form.
In some form,
now,
I agree, yeah.
I don't think it's really giving much away if I just say.
Oh, so you think 2 will be on there, Martin?
I think the second one will be on there.
Yeah, he was the one that had Crash Bandicoot 2. You just had all the Crash Bandicoot games.
I really believe they're going to have all 3 games.
And I said
and the kart
Crash
racing,
Bandicoot
right?
Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. But yeah, I think that'll be on there too.
To be fair, though, like when I said Crash Bandicoot, it wasn't so much like, oh, I think it's going to be 1 and not 2. Mm-hmm. I just think it's going to be there in some form, and I never really got into it, so I don't really know which one's like the better one or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure they got better as they went along.
Yeah,
no doubt. They did. They got weirder.
And
stranger.
Weirder than the first one. The first was pretty weird.
Yeah, so
they got weirder.
I'm on board with there's going to be a game.
Yeah. I do believe,
that, though?
And here's why I think. Now I'm going to draw an analogy from Nintendo here. I think all 3 will be on there because when I think of PlayStation, in particular, the early years of PlayStation, we're talking the mid '90s. It was you had to have a mascot to sell your system. That was the thought anyway.
Yeah.
You know, Nintendo had been doing it for years, and then Sega came along and sort of knocked Nintendo off with their own version of their mascot, and then the floodgates opened up. And this is around the mid '90s, so Sony came along. It wasn't a launch title, but Crash was that game that I feel like was the first time they got traction in the console war. And it was like they finally had some reason to pound their chest. Like, we got Crash. Crash is it's different.
Yeah.
It
was like like Sonic for Sega.
Yeah.
It was like very close to that.
And it's odd too because it is interesting when you think about the 3 versions of that generation console. Like Nintendo went full on 3D with Mario. Saturn went with like Knights, where they were touting it as 3D, but it was kind of an on rails, whatever. And then Sony's version of their 3D was like this. It was like a platforming game, and it would like go towards the screen.
It was kind of on rails in a way.
It was totally like on rails.
Yeah.
But I just found it was interesting that like everybody knew that 3D was going to be a thing. I guess Sega less though than the other 2, but
Yeah.
You know, but Crash was like that big game. I remember all my friends who got PlayStations were very excited about Crash. They couldn't stop talking about it, except for you, Nick. I don't remember you really caring about it.
No, I never did. I played it at Toys R Us, you know, when they had like PlayStations on display and you could check out games and stuff, and I played it, and I just didn't get into it. He was just like, you know, you would run like towards the screen, kind of that on rails thing like you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you would do the spin and you'd crash boxes.
Like
and
Tasmanian
what
Devil.
was it? He would pick up like peaches.
They're
or
like
something?
peaches, I
Yeah,
think.
peaches.
Yeah, and you
yeah.
would like pick up peaches and stuff, and I just
Not
didn't-
sure why they were peaches.
I didn't get
but-
into it.
It was just, you had to be a fruit of some
Well,
kind.
he was
I guess.
shipwrecked on an island somehow. I don't know how that came about.
You know those like little tiki guys or whatever, like the
Yeah.
little thing. Did it like replenish your health or something when you grabbed? Well, no,
It
it
would
made
make
you
you, like,
invincible or whatever.
Invincible, and then yep.
Oh, but I do a point I was starting to make though, because you know, talking about not really knowing like which one, you know, which Crash game may be on it. Like, I mean, you say all of them, but
Well, because
like
Nintendo
Tekken
did the
3,
original.
like we already know Tekken 3 is.
But you can only have 20 games
Yeah.
for the entire
Well,
PlayStation
and that's
library.
that's my argument. Though.
I know.
Like, yes, the Nintendo Classic has like all the Marios,
Yeah.
but I with so many games to choose from,
But Nintendo's a better first-party developer in
Oh
my
yeah.
opinion,
Yeah.
than Sony.
I just don't. Oh, which Crash I should
Or
add.
at least in that
you
time.
know, of Naughty Dog fame. You know, makers of Way of the Warrior.
Let it go, Nick. They're so good now. I still love that realization that I had, and I like texted you. Were like, "Duh, yeah." You know, that's why I never really trusted Naughty Dog. It kind of took. It was a long kind of climb for Naughty Dog because they did that. They did Crash, and then they went on to Jack and Dexter, and then Uncharted.
I love Jack and Dexter.
It's okay. It's fine, but I mean, Uncharted are great. Like those games are phenomenal.
But you know, I could totally see where they might have 2 on there instead of 1. You know, because they've got Tekken 3, which for the same reasons I was just saying about Crash. You know, they've got Tekken 3, so I don't think there'll be Tekken or Tekken 2.
I don't believe it.
Even though I really feel like they should have Tekken instead of Tekken 3.
With the Galaga load screens. And all that.
Exactly.
Yeah, even though it's like probably, arguably the better game, I just feel like Tekken is more classic. I feel like the original needs to
Tekken
be
3
in
would
there.
definitely be
with
the better game.
Especially with the title PlayStation 1 Classic.
Yeah.
That's where I got really...
If they were going to have there's proof right there, there's not going to be a version 2, because why would they put Tekken 3 on it right away?
Yeah, it's so crazy how they decided to go with these 5. They're
So they can
messing
put
with
Tekken
us.
1 on the next one, damn it.
They're really
And
they're
then
trolling
Tekken
us,
2
like,
on the
so hard.
third.
Because in really, like Tekken 2, like of all the PlayStation titles, of Tekken titles, 2 was my favorite.
I think 2 was the height. 3 came out, and I want to say people had just bought it, but there was not that fervor, that
I mean,
of
3
leading
was
up to
good,
it. Yeah.
But
2
wasn't it
was
like
my
3 was like towards the end of the
It really
system,
was.
right?
It really
From
was.
what I
Oh, yeah,
remember.
yeah.
I mean, it was like
Yeah.
people moved on, I thought, at that point.
At that point, people were like picking up Dreamcasts and
Yeah.
Because by the time
PS2
4
was
came
getting
out,
ready to come out. Yeah.
when 4 came out, it was on PS2.
Right.
yeah, for sure it was one of the last games. Probably maybe the last really huge seller for him. I don't know. I can't say that for sure. But so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put all 3 Crash games down for now, and we'll knock some off. I'm sure.
Well,
Well,
why don't you just put
hold
one
on.
line though? Just put one line and just say
A Crash
Crash
game.
Bandicoot title.
Yeah. And here's the reason I put 2 instead of 1. It's because there's this screwy thing on PlayStation Network where on the PlayStation Vita, if you buy it, you can't actually download it to the PlayStation Vita. I've looked on the internet, there's something to do with licensing on the Vita in North America. It works in Europe. So it made me realize there's going to be some licensing issues with these games.
Oh yeah,
which
and that's the thing that most people don't think about.
Which is weird that it's like, okay, Sony has it. Why can it not work on there? Are they just too lazy to do it? I don't know.
That kind of reminds me, like I had gotten one of those PlayStation TVs, which is basically
It's like a Vita
in a box that you hook up to your TV. And I bought, like on the PlayStation Store through the PlayStation TV, what was it?
Wasn't it like
Tekken versus Street Fighter or Street Fighter versus Tekken, whichever. I forget what order it was in, but the Vita version of it, and couldn't play it. Says you cannot play this. I mean, it was like $5, so I didn't really lose out on much. Yeah. But it's like one of those instances where like it's a Vita game, and it's Vita. I mean, you know that
it is
the
a
PlayStation,
Vita, right?
Yeah, it's like the Vita hardware.
Yeah,
but it won't play that game.
It's weird.
Which
you're right. I don't understand any of that stuff, how it works.
I think that's actually what they're putting in the PlayStation Classics is all the PlayStation Vita TVs that they have in the warehouse. Yeah. They're just reusing those.
Oh, no, I don't know. I think it's going to have some sort of internal hardware memory or whatever,
and
right?
I can't understand like why you can download that Mega Man X Maverick Hunter on that, but you cannot download the other Mega Man Powered Up. Why is that not on the store?
Well, and some of those Vita games, you can only play them if you download them through the PlayStation 3 to the Vita.
You guys are killing my classic buzz over here, man.
It's so weird. It's so weird. That's where, like, Sony, I always feel like I don't have a lot of confidence.
All right. You have your reasons.
I have my reasons.
Yeah, and you know what? Martin is right a lot of times. He's right a lot of times. I got to give him credit. I mean,
companies have internal politics.
Yeah.
So
it's not always.
You have
it's
to
not
consider
black and
those
white.
things.
There's a lot of gray in there. Too.
All right. So
I'm just gonna put Crash 1 and 2 on there for the moment. Okay.
Oh, so as we all agree, it won't have 3. I mean, I don't know that for sure. It might be 3.
I mean, officially, I do believe. Ron's going on record to say that all three will be on there, but
it could just be the go-kart version. You know why I say that? I say that? Because they made an effort to put a second controller in. Why else would they put a second controller in there? There's going to be a lot of multiplayer games on there.
Yeah.
Well, you got Tekken. That's a fighting game. You kind of need 2 controllers for that.
Yeah.
That'd be really crappy to them.
But I guess it is interesting that they pack 2 and not make you just buy a second one.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So there could be a multiple.
Because the original PlayStation
2-player games
only came with 1, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, we can confirm that.
I think it's the first one where they had the balls not to give you 2 controllers.
But here's the thing: I'd almost rather have 1 DualShock with the PS1 Classic versus 2 of the original controllers.
It makes you think though, because they landed at $100. How much more would that have knocked it up if they had included?
I was asking you earlier what year like this PlayStation came out because it had the red box and mine's not a red box.
Yeah.
Well, there's a picture of an analog controller right there, so that was already out by then.
That was this is at least 98. At least,
probably.
Because I think Ape Escape came out in 98.
Yeah, because I was thinking
is it on the back of that box? I mean, it's got Crash 2 on there. So.
Yeah. We can put it around in 98, early 99. Because and I've said in the past, I was a late adopter to PlayStation.
Right.
This is when I got it. It was probably I probably got it because I started seeing the writing on the wall and in the magazines that PlayStation is the clear winner of this generation of consoles, and all these good games are coming out for it.
Yeah, you were busy playing your Sega Saturn.
Yeah.
Hey, I had a Saturn.
I liked my Saturn. I was very upset when they prematurely Yeah, no, I know you did too. But you imported a lot of games there.
Yeah.
It didn't hold a candle to the PlayStation. I mean, PlayStation 1, I mean,
they miscalculated.
Damn, that was badass.
Every generation was just up in the memory, up in the pixel count, and that's what they did. They built a beast of a pixel machine, and they didn't really count on the 3D processing.
I was playing
the
Jumping
polygonal
Flash
games,
and you were playing Bug.
Bug sucked.
Shut up.
I had to have
Bug
something.
2.
I was buying that clock
Knight.
game, Clock Knight, yeah. No, I mean I bought it for Daytona and stuff like that. I mean that's what I wanted.
Daytona.
And I wasn't disappointed. I mean it wasn't arcade
Panzer
perfect,
Dragoon.
Panzer Dragoon.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what's the next?
When's the Sega Saturn Classic coming out? Because I'm serious.
It's not
that
gonna
better be
happen.
chock full of 2D fighting games.
Oh,
You know
that
what?
would be Nick's dream console.
If anybody at Sega is watching, we want that.
They would do a Dreamcast before they did that. There's no way. I'm calling it. There's no way. It's not going to happen. You are
They're
dreaming
out
hard.
of the hardware business.
Yeah. They're hanging on by a thread. They're not going to take everything they got left and put it on gamble on the Saturn Classic.
Sega Ages, bring it to Switch. Why not?
Well, that's what they're
That's
doing.
more
They're-
feasible, right?
Yeah. Way more feasible. And that's what they're doing. They're bringing their Aegis games out. You know, if they want to put some Saturn games, I don't think enough people would care. But, they'd sell some.
Yeah, they'd sell stuff.
All right, Nick, what's the next set of, we kind of sort of agree, but one of us disagrees?
This one I could really kind of, I'm going to lump them together just because they're both car games. So 2 of us said Driver and 2 of us said Gran Turismo. I think I said both of them.
I'm putting money on Driver. I really think Driver's going to be on there.
Yeah. And
It crossed my mind, but...
The only question for me is, will it be Driver 1 or 2? And Gran Turismo. So who
and I said Driver, but I'm not. I didn't really play it, so I only said it because I'm familiar. It's a very popular game.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a good game.
But
there's no licensing barriers to get around, really.
You never know. I mean, there could be a song in there or something. Yeah.
But in my opinion, though, Gran Turismo is like a given.
Yeah. So Martin,
But here's
again,
the
are you the guy
thing,
that's
though.
like
All
saying
the
that?
licensing on this.
The vehicles?
Yeah,
Well,
the vehicles.
So you're the one that didn't say it, and that's why, because of licensing.
Yeah, that's honestly why.
Yeah,
And I can buy that.
you're using your head, and it's the reason why I didn't put Tony Hawk on my list,
Right.
even though I think it's a game that should be on there. It's just too many songs.
So yeah, I can
I
buy
didn't even
that.
think about that
Just may
because I
not
put it
be
on
able
my
to-
list, but I didn't realize all the songs. But yeah,
So many songs you got to think
yeah.
about licensing.
Yeah.
It's like a big part of the game.
Well, they would butcher it if like they did with Crazy Taxi when they brought that like on. Was it Xbox One or 360?
and mobile games and stuff like that.
Yeah, like it just wasn't the same without the songs.
Yeah, it was like a big part of it. It was exciting to hear the songs.
Yeah.
By the way, when's the last time we've seen a Gran Turismo game come out?
Sport.
Do we have one on PS4?
Yeah, there was a sport, and it had like VR support, and you know, it,
So it's
Man.
possible they could have the cars already licensed, like up
Yeah.
to speed. So it could
it's
happen.
possible.
I actually, in my heart of hearts, I do hope this comes out on it.
I'm
But
putting Gran Turismo is on the list.
When that came out, though, it's funny how like when you're in that current age of what graphics look like and everything, and that's just at the peak of where you're at right now.
Yeah.
That you're just like, that looks so amazing. It's so realistic, yada, yada, yada. And you look at it now and it's just like so pixely.
Yeah.
And for the system, it's pretty impressive.
It
though.
is very impressive.
Even
Think
though.
about its
nowadays.
contemporaries. It was like Cruisin' World, San Francisco Rush, those kinds of games.
Oh, when you compared it to like the others, I mean, it did look so realistic. Like there was like the glare reflections on windshields.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. And I never loved Gran Turismo because it was a little too technically accurate.
And I'll admit that I bought it because of the looks, and then I didn't really, I'm not really a racing guy.
It's not an arcade game. It's a
And-
simulation.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
and so I didn't
that's
get
probably
into
why.
it.
I still like enjoying from time to time. Like I think was it like Turn 10, Turn 9? I don't know. Whoever makes those Forza games for the Xbox. I think those are your top tier racing. Like they surpassed.
That's
Gran
the pinnacle,
Turismo.
right?
Yeah, and they're really fun, and they are technical, but I feel like there's just a little bit more play in the controls than what Gran Turismo gave.
Yeah.
But I mean, and it was a technical showcase. It's the kind of thing you'd put on and you just have people come over and look at the game.
Yeah.
Just look at this game.
Yeah.
You can't do that on a Saturn. You really can't. I mean,
True.
so it's dated, but it's gonna be on there. It's gonna be on there.
But the driving game I did pick, I think it was on Saturn, Destruction Derby.
Oh, Destruction Derby was
which,
cool.
Which
yeah.
I do think will be on the PS1 Classic.
Let's put Destruction Derby on the list.
Yeah. Because it was
Well, you're
Psygnosis,
skipping ahead
which-
and giving away his list.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna come to
Well,
that.
I'm sorry. Well, it was like the cart game. Mark kind of showed my hand a little bit. I'm sorry. I put it down prematurely on the list, but I just like that thought actually because that was a big launch game, wasn't it? Well, no, it wasn't a launch
It
game.
was really early on.
It was in a long box. I remember that, like Jumping
Yeah.
Flash.
Yeah.
But it was
didn't bring
neat
it,
because,
but
well,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't want to jump ahead. So Gran Turismo, Driver, I feel pretty confident that we'll see Gran Turismo and, Martin, your one concern is the licensing, but then you kind of came around and was like, well, they may
If
still
Gran
have the
Turismo
licensing.
is
They could
not
still have-
on, that's why.
Probably, yeah.
It won't be because of popularity.
Yeah,
true.
It'll be because of some like legal reason.
Right.
And I feel strongly enough about Driver that I once again think it's not a matter of will it be on there. Will it just be one or two?
Which makes me wonder because.
And I hope it's one. I had more fun with one.
Ridge Racer 4 is on there, right?
Right.
And there are no like licensed cars. It's all just like generic
cars.
stuff. Yeah. So that makes me a little concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they came out around the same time.
So that they've already announced Ridge Racer 4.
Yeah.
But not Grand
You think
Racer.
maybe they're possibly still negotiating for some of these rights, and that's why they didn't make an announcement?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe secretly they're like waiting for YouTube videos and things to see what are the top games.
But that would again
want.
assume that they care about what we're saying, which they don't always.
Right.
I feel like Xbox and their community, Microsoft, are the only ones that really give a crap about their community. They listen. They seem to listen. Yeah.
They kind of need to.
They kind of need to, but I feel
They
like
got
they've
burned not
always
doing
given
that,
more. Yeah. They've always listened more, and I don't know if it's because they're an American company or what. I don't know what that necessarily means, but it just feels like Nintendo and Sony, like they always just give you a little taste of what you want, not the whole piece. Like they just give you a little bite. Yeah. And I don't want to let Nintendo off the hook. They don't always just give us what we want. Yeah. It feels like in the last year and a half they have. But they're still not doing everything they should be doing. But they hit home runs with the first two classics. Yeah. No doubt.
Right.
No doubt. Okay, what's the next couple, Nick?
Okay, so let me just do this one at a time. So Parappa the Rapper, two of us said, but to be fair, and since Martin has more unique ones, I think it's fair to go ahead and give this away too. Yeah. He said Jammer Lammy.
The sequel.
The sequel to Parappa the Rapper. So I think we can all agree some form of Parappa the Rapper, whether it's that one or the sequel. I don't know. I feel like, where other times I've said I don't really care, which one it may be. There's just going to be something of that series. Yeah. This one I do kind of feel like Parappa the Rapper is the more...
It's more well-known
classic.
We were talking a little bit. I mean, a lot of this list is sort of a surprise, so we could have like genuine reactions and stuff. But this one kind of slipped a bit. I forgot Unjammy even came out,
which kind of is more to like that point.
Yeah,
I just feel like it would be the title to make it.
I picked the sequel mainly because it has the multiplayer support.
And back to that, we know
it's going to have the two controllers.
I didn't think of that.
So, yeah, I get that.
And I think there are some stages from the first one that are in the second one.
Yeah.
Like remix stuff.
So it's like all of the first one plus more in a way.
Yeah.
I feel like Parappa was like another one of those mascots of Sony's.
Yeah. Sure, definitely, yeah.
When they came out with like their version of Smash Brothers or whatever, like Parappa, wasn't he one of the
All-Star Heroes or something?
Maybe he wasn't. I don't know, but I feel like he had to have been. But you see Parappa stuffed like figurines and stuff like he's very much PlayStation, and I think it's a given personally. It could just come down to which one will they choose, but I do believe they'll have the first.
I mean, I do agree that it's a given. It's going to be one or the other, but I think the first one. But if it's the second, I was wrong.
Yeah. Okay. It's got to be on there though. Yeah. One of those got to be on there. It's got to be Parappa.
I would hope so. Yeah. I hope one.
And they just released the remastered version really recently, and so there's been time to breathe. It's not like you're going to cut sales of that game. I feel similarly about Parappa as I do about Symphony of the Night. I feel like you're really going to like hurt a lot of feelings if they don't put it on there. Yeah. It's just, why did you not have Parappa?
I did too.
He's a mascot. He's kind of like Kirby tier. You don't think of Parappa first, but you get to him quick. Yeah. Third, fourth, So anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to just go to the next one?
Yeah, let's go on to the next one.
Okay. So this...
I have, by the way, I have like 12 written down right now.
Yeah, you're going to fill that list real fast.
Yeah. I know. I'm just letting people know that's where I've been writing these down.
So this next one is one of them that, only two of us picked. And it shocks me that not all three did. Yeah. Because I feel like it's a given. Yeah. Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I was the guilty party on that.
And can I give away the one that you...
Yeah, no, I said it.
So instead of Tomb Raider, you've got on here Tenchu, which I love Tenchu.
It's a great game.
Don't get me wrong. I don't really think Tenchu will make it, even though I love it. But
I
you
think-
don't even like it.
I don't. But
Who swayed you?
here's my point. I know enough people, Nick included, who love that game enough. If they're going to put Wild Arms on the list, and that is a similar game that it has its small but vocal fans, they will put it on there. And Tenchu, it's a very Japanese game. You know, a lot of fans, they
Yeah,
love
but
it.
you kick off Tomb Raider in favor of that? That just doesn't make sense.
I know. Well, I admit maybe I should have kicked off something else. It was a last second thing. And maybe I just wanted to have my own little wild card.
There you go.
Yeah,
And those Tomb Raider games
You took up
look-
too many slots with every single Crash game.
It's true. Like a
Every
third,
Tomb Raider game's gonna be on there.
like 1/3 of my list is Crash games. I think I'm gonna be right though. I really do. I think I'm gonna be right.
And now this may be an instance too where maybe it's Tomb Raider 2. I don't know. There was 3 on the PlayStation also. I don't know.
Yeah, and there was
yeah,
also
yeah.
a fourth one, like Legend. Not Legend. What was it? I thought there were like 4 on PlayStation 1.
I don't remember, but
Yeah.
whatever it may be, I don't know. But I think there's gonna be a Tomb Raider.
I think similar to Gran
There
Turismo,
has
but
to
we
be.
agree that, and my argument's already been invalidated by what I'm saying, but I don't think Tomb Raider holds up very well at all. I don't think, especially
It
with all these
doesn't.
really good new ones that are out
doesn't.
now.
No, yeah, I mean, I can probably agree with that.
But it's a classic.
It doesn't really
It's
hold
a
up. But it's an
classic.
absolute
It's a classic. But it may be the game that a lot of people are expecting that I don't necessarily know if they will get to put it on.
It does not play
And
well.
really, I mean, and the
I've,
big
I've
reason,
gone back recently. It does not.
yeah,
play well.
and the big reason though I think it doesn't hold up well is because it didn't use analog controls.
Yeah.
So
Which is why it will probably be on this because this
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
have
a-
analog.
yeah, so that
Yeah.
turning was very awkward, and then it was run straight ahead.
Yeah.
This is my whole thing with emulation and retro gaming. 8-bit and 16-bit games just replay so perfectly well. The polygonal games, the first generation polygonal machines, don't really look good.
Yeah.
They don't hold up very well.
Yeah.
It's now like an
Yeah.
art style, right? It's like
Yeah.
the low, crappy looking.
Yeah.
It's kind of a very muddy look.
Yeah.
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 So
I
this
can
is going to be
agree.
the first classic machine that I don't think people are going to play a ton. It may just sit and
I
look
don't-
cool. you
Yeah,
know?
and I
agree.
don't think it can have as big of a nostalgia factor as the old Nintendo and Super Nintendo, just because people will get in there and oh, it looks ugly and it
Yeah.
plays horribly.
Well, do you think they'll have filters on it? Like make
Yeah.
it clearer
I mean,
or
I'm
more
sure it will
blurry or
have
something?
filters. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Can't really help the controls, but
Yeah.
Yeah, make it look a little prettier.
right.
But Tomb Raider, I'll concede probably will be on the list. But yeah, I did. I went with Tenchu, and I'll go ahead and put Tenchu here, even though I'm sure it'll get knocked off.
Oh, see why you even
We're not thinking it's.
You're
gonna
the
be on
only
there.
one that even said it.
It's not.
I know,
gonna be
but
on there.
maybe I could sway you guys. That's what this
There's
is.
just too many. We can only have 20.
All
and there's
right,
just
all
too
right.
many.
All right, but
I mean, it's already vetoed off because you're the only one.
do you think it'll be Tomb Raider 1, 2, or 3?
I'm gonna say 1,
I'm on 1.
but
I'm gonna predict 2 because I
2
think
was
that
very
was
popular.
the biggest seller of
Yeah.
maybe all of them. I feel like by the time 3 came along, it was tailing off. 2 was really big.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we'll just again say a Tomb Raider game.
Okay. Yeah. So next.
Yep.
Okay, moving right along. So the next one, a very, very PlayStation game, in my opinion, even though I didn't really get into it. Twisted Metal.
Yep.
I agree.
That's
I think it'll be
very
on there.
old school PlayStation.
Yeah.
I don't think it has. I think they composed all their own music, I believe, for those games. So I don't think you're going to have any problems with licensing. It was one of the pillars of PlayStation early on.
Yeah.
And
But I wonder if it's going to be the second one. I'm starting to think it may be the second
may be.
one.
Yeah. And
was the second one the
with,
one that had
whole,
the dude in the big wheel or whatever, and he was
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
that to
It
me
was on
is the
cover.
one that. Yeah, I think that was the one that.
That
I
was
think
really
was.
popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who doesn't think Twisted Metal? Martin, was that? you?
No, I had Twisted Metal.
Did
Yeah,
I?
Martin's got it, and I have it. It was you.
Oh, was it me?
You took up too many spots with having every single Crash game.
You need to backtrack on the Crash games.
I don't know. I'm like, yeah, Twisted Metal. But then
this is precisely why I just don't think it'll have there's just too many.
You know
to choose
why
from.
it won't have all the Crash games? Because they just released the Crash games on like every console. On the Switch, the PlayStation 4. Is it on Xbox One?
Yeah.
Crash,
It's on everything.
The Crash
yeah.
remake.
It's on
So yeah,
everything.
I mean,
even on
it's
Switch,
out there. So it's potential they may not even have Crash on the classic.
Oh,
I don't know.
no
That'd
way.
be some Crash.
If anything, they'll have
That's their
Crash
Mario.
and Kart, and then because you can get Kart on a phone. I remember buying that on the iPhone in the first generation iPhones, and it played really well.
You're actually swaying me to think that Kart will be on it.
All right. Well, maybe I'll win
Because
one
the
of these.
controller.
Yeah.
If they would have only had one controller, I'd have said no way. But two controllers, it's like they've got something going on there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's like they've got to get as much two-player game
So
as they can.
if I had
Yeah.
to concede one Crash game, I would go ahead and put Twisted Metal on there because I do think that's very PlayStation-y.
The first one or the second one?
The second one.
Yeah.
I think the second one.
I'm starting to think the second one. I had the original,
Yeah,
but I'm thinking
I'll
the
just
second
go
one.
with whichever Twisted Metal
Yeah.
you all think.
Yeah.
But I'll just say
Let's just we'll put 2,
Yeah.
and Nick's just happy. He'll get
I'm just
he's
happy
hedging his
there's a
bets. He's like, I got 3 chances to get it right. Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say 2, so I don't get credit. All right, what's next?
Moving on. So, and I'm going to go ahead and say, and actually, this is the last one that we had
Some sort
two
of-
people, some sort
agreement.
of 2 people had said.
Yeah.
But I'm going to include where one of us, and it was you, that. So Martin and I both said Resident Evil.
Yeah.
But you had
The
said
original
Resident
one.
Evil, the original.
Yeah.
But you had said Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to lump those all together because once again, yeah, I kind of feel like there's going to be one of them. Which one, I don't know. Maybe they'll have 2 because there's that 2 remake coming out.
And that was my thinking. I feel like 2 was probably at the height. They were at the height of their PlayStation game.
Yeah.
I'm just always stuck on just picking the original because it's a classic.
Yeah.
Right.
Of the title, be it Tomb Raider, Twisted Metal, whatever. I'm always just saying the first one.
As long as it's not Nemesis.
But again,
Was
with
Nemesis
the Tekken
not
3,
good? I didn't.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
I mean it is the one that I never finished.
Yeah.
I played all the way through 1 many times. I played through 2 a couple times, and 3 I just didn't really play at all. I don't really know why. Maybe it's because it was bad. Maybe it's because I moved on to other things in my life. I don't know.
I don't think the story was as good on Nemesis.
Yeah, maybe the first-person shooter craze was catching on right about then.
Yeah, maybe I finally got tired of the tank controls.
Yeah.
Little hard to play nowadays for sure.
Well,
Right,
that's why it leads me to believe that it's going to be Resident Evil 1 because it's got the original controller, and then you play Resident Evil 1 on this, and then you buy the second one on the PS4.
Yeah.
When does the PS4 remake come out?
Sometime next year, I think.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
I do believe it'll be 2, but if it's 1... Well, here's the thing I was saying earlier. I was like, I'll only be surprised if it's 3.
Right.
I don't think they'll
I
put
totally
3.
agree with that. Yeah, it's 1 or 2, but not 3.
Right. Okay, so we're pretty... We'll just kind of say Resident Evil, the original for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other, I'm going to sway you a little bit more. There's 2 discs for Resident Evil 2, 1 disc for the first one, so more storage required.
Yeah.
Which means more money.
And
for
I don't
the
think
system.
they've
Right,
said
it
how
is a
much
bigger-
storage is going to be as included. Have
No.
they? Maybe they have somewhere down deep in the specs, but I haven't seen it.
I don't think they have. I don't know.
I don't think they have either. Because I feel like that's something that would be talked about.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll just kind of... I've got all of our unique games kind of bolded on my list here.
Well, yeah,
So
we can talk. We can put it out there.
I'll
and
just
then,
kind of say one of yours, and then we can talk about it, and then move on to one of mine, and like that until we kind of run out of games.
Okay.
All right. So one of the unique games that you had was Silent Hill that nobody else had on their list.
Yeah, I feel like Silent Hill was such a huge franchise back then that it's. I mean, it's such a big franchise it even got a movie.
It is a good one.
That's a good one.
I'll give you that. It's a good one. There's just too much to choose from to pick that I just picked other things.
We'll have to get down to what I see, what other games you guys pick for me to be swayed. But I mean, and I feel like I've kind of got Martin swayed a little bit already, just because Silent Hill is like, that was a good one. I mean, it's a very
and I'm thinking
PlayStation-y
different
pick.
genres. Like what's the percentage mix up on the system?
Right.
Like sports,
He
fighting,
totally
role-playing
gets into
games.
like the statistics.
Yeah,
and
I'm
the whole
just-
thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm coming at it from like the marketing standpoint.
yeah. Well, that's true. I mean,
That's good.
and that's why I'm so
Yeah.
glad you're here to help in with the
Right.
conversation, because you do kind of think about things that Nick and I don't necessarily think about.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I think Silent Hill is notable enough. It has lots of fans. It's so popular. It got a movie.
Yeah.
It was one that I jotted down,
Yeah.
like as I'm trying to think of them, but then it just didn't make it up.
And as far as I think there were at least two, right, that came out on PlayStation, or was there a third one that made its way onto the original PlayStation, or did that
There
was
might have been
PlayStation 2?
3.
I think there was
Yeah.
3, but I don't know how. Like,
I
what
never really got
consoles they
into
were.
them, but yeah.
I got into the first one a little bit. I just love. I like creepy things. I like scary movies, but I'm not a huge horror gamer. You know, like those. Yeah. I'm not a big fan as far as it's weird.
Yeah.
You think that would be like a no brainer for me? Like I would play them all the time, but I don't much.
Yeah.
Well, so instead of that, I went with a creepy RPG game. So Parasite Eve
Right.
was super popular back in the day,
That's true.
and
And that was
I
another
kinda
that
went
I
up
thought
with
of
that
and
one.
I jotted down, but it just didn't make the list.
Was that Capcom?
Mm,
Because I
gosh,
think
you know,
Silent
I'm
Hill
not-
was Konami, wasn't it?
definitely Konami on that one.
Yeah. I want to say Parasite Eve was Capcom.
Square.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you
So
go.
Final Fantasy, they've got Square
Yeah.
probably bought in on this, so I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Well, I've made my little case for Silent Hill. You know, I think it's a fairly strong one.
All right, so move on to one for me.
Yep.
All right, I had said Battle Arena Toshinden,
I don't think so.
which
I was actually thinking that
it's
almost.
just so classic to me. When I'm thinking of a PlayStation Classic, I just go to the first year
Yeah.
immediately, which maybe is the wrong thing to do. I don't know, because
I
they're
kept
like,
doing
let's
that
put
too.
Tekken 3 on it, but
Yeah.
that's what I did, and so there it is.
How do you spell Toshinden?
It's in front of you.
I can't really see it.
Toshinden.
Okay. It just doesn't recognize it.
Well, and to your point, Nick, I kept thinking, okay, like all the fun games that first came out, like the first 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, and I loved
then-
it. Like, when we're playing like the demo at Toys R Us,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, this is amazing. It's
You
like the first
were
3D.
a huge fan of those games.
Yeah, it was like the first 3D fighter I'd ever played, and this is amazing. But
Yeah.
now, I mean, it's pretty weak now. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there a character that had a gun in the
In
Toshinden?
2.
In 2.
not in 1.
So would you pick 1 or 2? Because 2's the one I kind of remember the
Well,
most.
it's like
I don't
it's
remember
like
2
the-
at all.
You don't.
No.
Because Nick. I mean,
It's
Nick
this whole
played it a lot.
story all over again. I just keep picking the first of these series and flying with that, and
I don't really ever seem to hear anybody talk about Toshinden.
nobody remembers it fondly anymore. No,
Yeah.
it's run its course.
I don't
The only
think-
reason it's on my radar is I know you were a huge fan of it.
Tekken took over.
Tekken
Yeah.
took over big time, and it just kind of became like the Brand X version of 3D fighting
Yeah.
games. And you had Virtual Fighter also to contend with.
So I could agree that it may not show up. But
You know what would probably be on there? I didn't pick it, but it was like Tobal number 9.
number one.
Number one,
No,
yes.
Well,
Or-
I'm gonna get there later on.
Okay.
It's not on my list, but it's on my dream list.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna bring that up later on.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Maybe now's a good time to do it. Since
Well,
you
go
did.
ahead. Go ahead and bring it up.
So,
Yeah.
So I kind of jotted down like my one dream game, which I kind of thought of this because of like the Super Nintendo classic. Had Star Fox 2 on it that never been released before.
Yeah.
So I thought the dream game that they could have on their game that never been released in the States, did come out in Japan, but never released in the States, was Tobal 2, the sequel to Tobal number 1. And I just think that would be amazing if they had decided to do such a thing.
Was it a real popular game in Japan?
I don't know how popular really it was, but it was a very good fighter on the PlayStation.
The first one was.
Did
pretty
you import
popular.
it?
I did, yeah. And so I have it, and fans have translated it, and there's like a little translation patch that
wow.
you could install and everything. And so I've actually got that I've put on things on like the Raspberry Pi and whatever, because it even has like a little RPG mode that you could like run through a little town and do like this little RPG thing. I mean, it's a really good game, I think.
Martin, did you play it?
The first one?
Yeah.
A little bit, but not a ton. I knew it was super popular.
It's the dreams come true game that Nick wants.
Yeah.
You know,
So that I think that would be amazing if, and like Toe Ball number 1. I mean, it'd be cool if that was on there, but Toe Ball 2, like a translated version of Toe Ball 2 that they could be like the first time ever in the States, kind of like they did with Star Fox.
That would be
2.
awesome.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
well, the second controller, right?
But it'd be amazing. Yeah.
We'll
Right.
see.
So
that's a
yeah.
good
So that
point,
was my
yeah.
dream game.
All right.
All right. So anyway, so move
I think
on.
Martin's
So,
one of
Martin,
Martin's.
we already kind of talked about Jammer Lammy.
Yeah,
we
we're good
talked
on that.
about Parasite Eve.
Yeah, we mentioned that.
So let's move on to Siphon Filter.
Yeah. We probably could have mentioned that when we were talking about Metal Gear Solid, but we both had that one. I kind of
Oh
feel...
yeah, we did kind of mention it.
Yeah. It was pretty popular back in the day. I think it's a Sony game.
It's a 989 game.
Yeah. And I think there were like 3 of them on the PlayStation. And I honestly just put it on there because like I felt like Sony would just put like a filler game in there. So it's not like a game I would want on there. I was just looking at it from like, it was really popular. They have the licensing. They have 3 games to choose from.
Yeah,
I figured they might put it on there.
It's a game that I'll put it to you this way: I don't think it would be on there, but it wouldn't shock me because it was a Sony-backed game.
But if there was Metal Gear Solid, would there be
2 espionage type?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that it's low. I think the likelihood is lower than some of the other games that we have.
Yeah, I think
I think Tenchu would be on before Siphon Filter.
But what if they only put Metal Gear Solid VR missions? I'm just saying they might
Instead
do
of
it.
Metal Gear Solid.
Then you would want Siphon Filter on
or
there.
both.
I think Siphon
Both, you
Filter
would
is a
want.
classic PlayStation game, but I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't think it has enough fans anymore to care.
Yeah,
It
That's
was
a good point, Ron.
Yeah, it's a game that I think a lot of people kind of dug in the moment. It's another one of those copycat games that I mentioned due to the success of Metal Gear Solid, and because of people wanted more of that, I think it sold a lot. And it had a pretty. I remember seeing commercials for it on TV.
Oh yeah, it was all over.
So it was out there, but I just don't think enough people care about it since the day it came out. So I don't know.
All right, so move on to another one of yours, Ron. So you had on Final Fantasy Tactics. So you think
That's a
that
good
we
one.
already know Final Fantasy VII will be on. You think there will be another Final Fantasy game?
I do, because they just made the announcement that it's going to be coming out on like Switch.
Oh yeah.
And so
A bunch of
Final Fantasy games are coming out on Switch.
Except for 8.
Right. I just feel like when I think of the PlayStation, a lot of things come to mind. You know, Crash, Parappa, Final
Crash
Fantasy.
a number of
It's like,
times.
Yeah.
you know, Final Fantasy. It's crazy to say, but it almost comes to my mind first, even before Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I can
There are a
agree
lot of Final Fantasy
to a
games.
point that where Final Fantasy would come to mind, but because of 7, and 7's included. So
Yeah, and 7's a pretty big game, and you know, I don't know how much smaller Chronicles is. And this is just one of those games, like, I don't even want it to be on there, but I just know that it had so many it still has its fans to this day enough to like warrant a release on the Switch, and I'm sure they're counting on people buying it.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I would buy Chronicles. You guys know from the GameCube ranking, I put
I think
Chronicles
it's probably
on there.
the second most popular Final Fantasy game that was released for PlayStation. And I could see 2 PlayStation in there. They're different enough, I think, to exist on one console, you know,
Yeah.
as a classic game. So
Yeah.
I feel pretty strongly that it'll be on there. I feel, you know, I think Silent Hill would be on there first.
I think there's too many other titles to choose from to have another Final Fantasy title, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so move on to my next one, and so my next one's gonna, I think, include one of yours, Ron.
Okay.
Because mine was Spyro the Dragon.
Yeah.
And you had also said, for you had said Spyro Year of the Dragon,
Yeah.
which I think was like, what?
The newer one.
4th game?
Was it like a remake of the first one or like an enhanced version of the first one?
You know what? It might have been. Was it? I can't say
I'm
because
not
I didn't
even really
play him
sure.
enough to even realize.
I played
if
the
it was or
first
not.
and
But
like
anyway,
second.
you know, I mean, Spyro is another one that I'm just happy to say that I think there's going to be a Spyro game. As far as which one, I don't know. They'll pick one. They pick Tekken 3, you know, so they'll pick the best Spyro game, whichever one that may be.
Well, they are coming out with the remakes of those.
They're coming out with the remakes, and it's
so-
because there's a want and need for it.
True.
I think Spyro is like right there with Crash Bandicoot as far as mascots, though.
Yeah,
I
think
agree.
it's just right there.
He's just behind him. And they're better games too, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're more fun. It's a more fun game.
So I mean, I could kind of go with you with the Year of the Dragon. You know, I don't know which one it may be, but I think there's going to be Spyro.
Is there a reason why you don't think it would be on there, Martin?
I just don't think it's going to be on there. Mainly because it's not a Sony game, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. They're coming out with the remake.
But it could be. I'm not sure.
And then there's also
Insomniac games.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
and then
wow.
there's also kind of like weird licensing stuff with that on the PSN store. So
There's always that too.
yeah. So I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer on that one and say I'd love for it to be on there. I just don't think it's going to be on there.
Yeah. I have a feeling you're going to get vetoed on that.
We'll see. Hope you
Yeah,
prove
we'll
me
see.
wrong.
We'll see when we get down to it. Just for everybody's information, we are officially at 20 that I've written down. So
Yeah, see, we've got a number to go yet.
yeah. Okay.
All right, so
Well, okay, guys. Can we do a little house cleaning on what we have? Maybe can we pause here and then like take a look at what we have and maybe just go ahead and throw some stuff out, or should we just keep going?
I think we should keep going.
yeah, just keep going.
Okay.
I don't know if we're ever gonna agree to like a
One,
top
two.
20. I mean,
Oh, I'll be amicable on some of mine. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna fight too I'm not gonna fight too hard. I'm not like the Sony guy.
I mean,
We've got like a good like 11 or 12 to even mention.
Okay.
That there's a few that we can kind of skip over because we kind of already have talked about it a little bit.
Right.
But unique ones, there's still another good 11 or 12, which is
All right.
why I keep saying I don't think there's gonna be.
I know.
Every
Well,
single
all right,
Crash
let's
game.
get this show on the road. What's the next one, Nick?
All right. So we said Siphon Filter. So Wipeout XL on Martin. Martin had said that one.
did
And
anybody else say Wipeout?
And I did not. And
I thought
really?
about it. I
I mean, that was pretty popular.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. And
I mean,
it's
they
still,
had like
they're still
4 of them, I thought, on the PlayStation.
and they just released the Omega collection or whatever.
if it
So-
comes
wasn't
on
aware of
there,
that.
I could totally believe it. I'd buy that. I mean, it was once
I would
again,
buy
it's
it
not
before-
really a game that I really ever played, but I would totally believe that a Wipeout game could be on there.
I could see it ahead of games like Parasite Eve, Siphon Filter.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I
Chronicles
could
maybe
agree with
even because
that, yeah.
that's kind of what the original Wipeout game was groundbreaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
The techno, like a lot of copycats came from that game too. To be honest,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, F-Zero was kind of one of those first games, but this game really took it to another level.
Right.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, it was never my cup of tea. Like I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it in small bursts. You know, like a little
Yeah.
bit here and there.
Yeah.
And Omega's really fun. I bought that. That's a good game. So so Wipeout XL, right?
Yeah, XL's got the multiplayer on the same system. I
Yeah.
think like the other versions you had to do a system link.
Oh yeah.
So-
Actually, we're just about done with your list, I think, Ron.
Is
As
that
I'm
right?
kind of looking ahead.
That's fine. That's
Because
fine.
you still have like 4 other games, but we've kind of like mentioned every one of them.
Yeah, that's fine. I
So-
get excited to talk. Well, I mean, Crash, right? I kind of blew my wad right there. I was like,
I-
Crash everything.
Because I kind of skipped ahead looking like myself and wasn't really paying attention. So
Yeah.
are we done talking about?
You know, there's
Wipeout,
one
or-
game.
It's a strong contender.
Yeah, I think it's pretty strong. There was one game I was going to mention that we didn't really mention yet that could be on there. Medieval.
I remember that.
There was like
vaguely.
a remake, I think, on the PlayStation.
I can kind of like
3?
picture the box.
Did it have a skeleton on the
Yeah, it
box?
had a
Yeah,
skeleton. I think it was a Sony game. I can't remember for sure,
I vaguely remember it.
but yeah,
But my vague recollection, I mean, it would be a dark horse game.
yeah, there are a lot of fans out there for that game.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just popped in my head.
Cool.
But, yeah.
Well, here, let me. So we're done with Wipeout, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we can all agree that it was kind of a seminal racing game.
I think it's going to be on there.
So here, I'll just mention like real quick the rest of
It
the
kind of
games.
goes hand in hand with Ridge Racer. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're different enough, right?
Yeah.
All right, so here's the rest of the games that you had, but we've already really kind of covered. So, like you had said, Twisted Metal 2, but we've already like added the Twisted Metal. On
Is this
there.
Ron's list?
Yeah, of his unique games that we didn't say. Crash Bandicoot 3, which we've said many times that you've included like every single Crash game. Resident Evil 2, we talked about that.
Yeah.
And Tenchu, which we kind of already.
What
mentioned.
about Kart? Did I?
Oh, did I? No, I didn't bold that.
We
I overlooked
glanced
that because
Kart.
I forgot to bold that. Yeah, so CTR Crash Team Racing.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a unique one that you had said.
I feel very strongly. I read a lot of. I visit a lot of message boards. I read a lot of. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and that is the next game that PlayStation fans are craving really bad. It started with Crash. They were crying for that for years, and they got it. Then
Now,
came Spyro.
I'll tell you what though, I'll give you Crash Kart if you drop 2 of the other Crash games. You can't have 4.
Oh, we're negotiating now? Is that what we're doing?
So yeah, you can have like Crash 1, Crash 2.
But Martin's already kind of like
whichever it may
agreeing with
be.
me. I mean,
You know what? I'm actually almost thinking they're only going to have Crash Kart on it.
Only Crash Kart.
Because
well,
there's the remake on the PlayStation 4, which is their main system.
yeah.
Crash Team
And-
Racing is one of my kind of locks. I kind of feel like it's going to be on there.
I
The more
will
and more I
allow
think
it.
about
If
it.
they didn't
Okay.
have 2 controllers with it, I'd say no way. But
Let's-
it's a pretty good contender. I
Yeah,
hate
let's
to say
just
it.
say that like Crash Team Racing,
Crash
I
Team.
will allow it, but
the
there-
judges ruled.
but there will not be.
So it's
the
for
other-
sure on our
Here's
list,
the
right?
thing.
Okay,
But
it's
that's
a
going to
for
be a
sure.
lot of
Okay,
that's going to be a lot of
yeah,
racing
I won
games.
one.
It's going to be like we're getting heavy sided
We
on the
kinda
racing
are.
A
games.
lot of racing games.
Lot of
We
racing
kind of
games.
are, yes, but
So
I don't know.
Maybe Gran Turismo has to go because of the whole licensing thing. I
yeah,
don't
good
know.
point.
Yeah.
Good point. All right,
But-
so
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on what perspective we're coming from, like real world or like our dream list. You know,
I think if given the choice, and if PlayStation fans are true to their word, if you could have Gran Turismo or Crash Team Racing, I think most of them would take Crash Team Racing because it's still
more
fun to play.
It's more
Yeah.
fun. I'll
It's
guarantee
more
that.
relevant to today,
Yeah.
and Gran Turismo just looks clunky and old.
I'll agree.
Yeah,
agree with
I'll
that.
go with that.
Okay. All right, so that we're kind of exhausted with your list there, Ron. So,
Okay.
so the next one on mine, I had said Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey.
I almost went with that.
I
I
felt
did
like
too.
Oddworld is just so PlayStation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is, but didn't it also get like a Saturn release? Like I don't feel like it was only PlayStation.
I don't
I feel like that was one of those games that
Tomb Raider got a Saturn release too. And we know how that went.
and Resident Evil.
And Resident Evil.
True.
Oh, it looked awful.
And
No,
Jurassic Park.
I have a strong feeling that it will land on there too, and it's one of the ones that was originally on my list that just got bumped out eventually.
Yeah, I couldn't
it's a
believe neither one
possibility.
of you said Oddworld.
No, it's such a weird game. It's very PlayStation-y. I think it still probably would hold up fine because it's like a 2D kind of game with like
Yeah,
you
it
know,
would
hand-drawn
do
types.
well.
Who?
I don't know who made that, but it was
Oddworld Inhabitants. Like
Yeah.
they like made their own.
They've got a lot of
development
strange
team.
ones. Yeah.
Oddworld was such a big deal, and people may forget, but it was one of the big launch titles for the Xbox.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
They were really sort of counting on Oddworld
Munch's
to help
Odyssey.
carry that. Like they had Halo. They had a good feeling about Halo, and they were right.
Yeah.
But that game that came out for the Xbox was a pretty big deal too. So I mean, it wasn't like it didn't set the world on fire, but
Yeah.
they were counting on it.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't really hold up.
I would be willing to take off. You know what?
I say we keep going because I don't know if it's going to be on there.
Okay.
All right. So
That's just
and
my thought. But
Martin had.
What did you guys think about Abe? Did you guys play it much?
Not really.
It was weird. It was like a Lemmings
liked
kind
part
of
of
game,
it.
sorta. You know?
Yeah.
I like parts of it, but
It was kind of gross.
yeah, it was a little gross.
Yeah.
It was just like the controls were a little bit stiff and basic.
The guy's
just, like,
voice, the little like dude's voice, and I think they were all the same kind of voice too.
It almost reminded me of like Flashback or something like that.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
Lots of animation and
Yeah.
just weirdness. It was sold on weirdness.
Yeah.
So okay.
All right, so and we are actually, I'm gonna kind of skip over this one and move on to Martin's other one because we kind of already talked about Tony Hawk a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't
Tony Hawk
think it's
Skater.
gonna make it. I don't think
And,
it's a chance.
and I'm almost like, like if I'd follow anything that I've said already, there's no way that one would be on there.
Yeah.
But I wonder if like Cool Borders would be on there.
Was that a PlayStation 1 deal or a 2?
That was one.
Okay. Oh, I'm thinking of SSX. Never mind.
Yeah. Because it's like we don't have any sports games on it.
Yeah.
So the only one I could think of was Tony Hawk, but Cool Borders.
Extreme sports
it could
games in the
be.
90s were ubiquitous.
Yeah.
I don't know how much people care nowadays, to be honest.
Right.
I think any PlayStation fan would take a Tony Hawk, but it would be on my list for sure. But I just really can't see it happening. It won't happen. So. I don't know.
And he also had Destruction Derby, which I think we did mention.
Yeah,
We mentioned it,
mentioned
yeah.
that one. Yeah.
It's an intriguing choice, but
It's
ultimately,
2-player.
I don't think it has a chance.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here's another one I don't think Scott mentioned at all. Hot Shots Golf.
Huge.
Martin had mentioned.
Huge.
It's your
series,
sports game,
especially
guys.
around the
Now,
world.
I could agree with this one because so far it's like the only golf one, we've mentioned. We're kind of only sports games we've even talked about at all are racing, and we've got tons of racing games now.
Yeah.
So
2 players.
I could believe Hot Shots Golf would be on there.
I could see Hot Shots over, honestly, Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could too.
As much as I hate
got
to
a shot.
admit. And they're still putting those games out.
I would think one
Right.
of the Resident Evils, be it 1 or 2, would take like the survival horror spot.
It's got it covered. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like they're making Silent Hill games anymore. Like they had that one game that came, everybody was real excited about, that was a demo.
Oh yeah.
That ended up becoming like Resident Evil, I think.
Something like that.
8, 7, I don't know. One of the newer Resident Evil games, but yeah, I think that's a dead franchise, and Hot Shots is still going, so
Yeah.
it's called something now else. Isn't it called like Everybody Loves Golf or something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
I think they just rebranded it. Hot Shots is a real contender for sure.
All right, and so moving on to one that I had, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver.
That's a great one. That's a
There
really
are
good
fans
one.
of that style of game out there, certainly with your what are those games? The Bloodborne type stuff.
I can't really argue
been a
to
while.
it because
I
didn't
never played them.
That series is not done
It's just
anything
another
for a
one I
long
put on my
time.
list that I recognize as being very popular, but it's not one I actually played, so I can't argue for it really.
Yeah, I couldn't argue for it at all. I can only admit that it was very popular.
Is this the one?
Oh
that you
gosh, I
said?
don't even know
that's
if it
the
was
one.
Yeah.
very popular. It had its
It was
fans.
extremely popular.
So you
was.
own it at least.
Yeah.
I said it. You own it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be on there though because it.
I think
I
it's
don't
going to
know.
be one of those like it's an intriguing idea.
I would put
It's on the
Hot Shots
list for
Golf
sure.
before it.
I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So moving.
And I
on.
would put Silent Hill over that too as well. So
Now I don't know if I'm pronouncing this one right. Alundra.
Alundra. Yeah. Role playing game.
I'm not familiar with it.
Me neither.
It was the Sony's Zelda clone at the time.
Okay.
Um,
Sounds good to me.
It's
already.
more like a
action RPG, huh?
action RPG. It could be on there. I don't know. I thought it was one of those popular enough role playing games that they would have it on there.
Is it on the PlayStation Network?
Yes.
It's a good litmus test right
Yes.
there. So,
Yeah.
it has a chance, but
So
maybe if they add another volume of games somehow, I don't know. I think
Maybe.
that's a long shot.
yeah,
I think even you would agree that's a long shot.
maybe it kind of just depends on which way they go. If they're going to be a couple really popular games and the rest filler, then that was kind of my approach.
Let's put it this way: if we're not sure if Chronicles is going to make the list, I don't think Alundra has a chance.
Yeah, I think it's a long shot.
Yeah, and it's not looking like Chronicles is going to make the list.
Yeah.
Not our official list.
So you like not even.
You mean
gonna jot
tactic?
it
Are you talking
down?
about tactics? Final Fantasy Tactics?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
You're not even gonna jot it down. Yeah.
I know I'm not.
All right.
I'm sorry, Martin. I'm
When
not
it
even
comes
gonna
out
get
on it, you guys.
I'm not even going to respect it enough
Yeah.
to type it.
since we're trimming the fat already, you
Yeah.
know, we're already at so many. I can kind of already make an argument that this one won't make it.
Okay. Well, let's hear it out.
Well, it's another kind of mascot-y game that the PlayStation had, and we've already established now that there's already, you know, Crash and Spyro before this one. But
Yeah.
remember that, was he blue? That little blue cat?
Clowana.
Clonoa?
Yeah,
yeah.
Klonoa,
It's kinda in my brain, yeah.
Phantomile.
It's got a fan base for
Yeah,
sure.
I think very, very popular kind of mascot-y PlayStation game. But since we're trimming the fat so much,
it's hard to. You've
know.
already kind
I
of
don't
talked, like
know.
you said, you've sort of already argued your way out of it
Yeah.
even before
So I
it
mean,
makes a case.
obviously it was on my list. But
It's a game that I can visualize the art,
But if
so
I've
it's
gotta,
left an impression even on me.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever played it.
If I've got to make room to allow some of your all's games, it might get bumped off then. So
So how do you spell that?
that's Klonoa.
And that was Alundra.
Alundra. Yep.
Oh, you're typing it.
I don't want to be an ass here.
PS1 Classic Series 2.
Okay,
Yeah, well,
when we do that
guaranteed.
episode, maybe we'll. I have a feeling it's going to get bumped even.
All
You're
right.
gonna bring me back for that one, and you're just gonna be singing
yeah,
my
you're
praises.
definitely invited for that. Gotta have Martin for that.
We're down to the last three.
Okay.
All right, so Warhawk on Martin's list.
Yes. My mind went back to
It's a
early
It's
classic,
an early classic.
PlayStation.
Early classic.
Now, is it gonna realistically be on there? I don't know, because it's like there's no other like
I
flying
don't know.
simulator
How
games
far
on there.
over are we already?
I mean, we're down to 27
20.
kind of, so you know, I'll put it. You put forth some intriguing choices. You really do.
It was either
And
that
I
or
saw
maybe like
this and
Ace Combat. Or
I was
something
working
like
at
that.
Babbage's when this came out, and everybody wanted it. You know, it was it was a launched game.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe
You
maybe
know,
that's
like,
why it's burned into my.
It was one of the few good launch games. So like people are starving for a game.
I'm gonna say no. We've just got far too many. I think that are ahead of it.
I tell you what, Martin. This is one of those games that like kind of
Let's
like.
make a deal.
No, I'm not making any deals. But it's interesting. It's an interesting choice, and I admit it was an early a success for PlayStation. But you know, not many people think about it anymore.
True.
All right, so what's our next game?
Yep.
Okay. Suikoden 2.
No way.
No way.
No way.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
I think
saying
it's
no
too
way.
niche,
But
but-
why don't you at
Moving
least
on.
talk about it a little?
It's
Nick?
definitely
I mean,
popular though, Nick.
I don't know anything about it. It's just another that I looked up popular one.
I don't even know what kind of game is it.
Because I couldn't just
It's like
put
a
all my own
strategy RPG,
favorites.
I think.
You know, I mean, I could totally fill a list with my own favorites that I play tons of, but I realize it's not going to be Nick's favorites. You know, so
right.
It is
Unless
very popular.
unless it's
So Ian
hackable, then
got-
it will be Nick's favorites.
Ian got these ones that I'd never really played, but I recognize that they were.
Okay. So
But you know, here's a question though. If they release this system globally, it makes a lot of sense in Japan to have that.
that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking about that
that'll
Total
make the
game.
Japanese
If
one.
there was like a region
Yeah.
release, and I that was one of my first questions. Is like, are different regions gonna have different games?
Right.
Instead of that, we would probably get Warhawk.
Oh God,
Yeah,
because we're the
Jap-
Americans, like blow
the
stuff
Japanese
up.
version has that. We get Warhawk. Okay.
That would be the thing. Yeah.
All right. So the last one then, Martin had Jet.
Or
Moto.
we would get Jet Moto.
Yeah, we get Jet.
That's
Moto.
another one. It's just like Wipeout, Jet Moto. I think there were a few Jet Moto games.
Yeah, that you know, I forgot about that series, but it was popular at the time. Those wave racing games or whatever were kind of a deal.
And here's my
But it
thing.
doesn't have its fans long lasting.
It doesn't have a ton of fans, but it was a classic game. There were a lot of them. You never know if Sony goes the route of we're going to put some good games and then we're going to put like 50% filler games, it's going to be on there.
So many good games. I mean,
Because they're going to come out with more of the classics. They have to.
Don't know about this.
Here's why.
I would
Here's
not
why.
count on that.
Here's why. Because Nintendo at least has the NES, and then they have the Super Nintendo,
Right.
the N64. It's going to be a long time before we see a PlayStation 2 classic. That's
And
a
I
lot
don't
more
even-
hardware.
I would argue you won't see one.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I think you would see another maybe 2 or 3 iterations of that.
I mean, that would at least differentiate them from Nintendo a little.
I think I don't know. I don't think there would be like a separate thing to be an iteration. There would be some kind of an upgrade or something. I don't know.
But if
If
it was
it
like a
comes out
different
that they-
color case or I don't know.
I don't know.
That's just my thought.
Yeah, moving on from that discussion though of being a version 2. I'd mentioned that was the last game, but I lied. It's really not. Because there's 4 others I just have to mention because I had runners up that I just feel so strongly that
Okay.
are very
You want to get some honorable mentions? up there?
honorable mentions that I just feel like they're very good.
He's going to
games,
plead
but
his case to the court.
They got squeezed off my list because I felt like these others would make it before. But Mega Man Legends.
That's an awesome game.
If they've got Capcom games on this thing,
Yep.
people fight over Mega Man Legends. I mean, they're passionate about that game.
Do we
They
know?
are.
Do they have any? They don't have any Capcom games that we
Not
know
that
of,
we
right?
know of yet.
That we know of,
So we don't know if they've got to deal with Capcom or not. So
See,
there's
and if
that.
they're gonna do Capcom, right inside here is Breath of Fire 3,
Yeah.
and that was super popular. I mean, in general, it was more popular than Mega Man back in the day.
We've
but-
already listed other Capcom
Legends.
games, Resident Evil,
Parasite
Yeah.
Eve. No, that was Square. Sorry.
Yeah, that was Square.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's Dino Crisis too. That was kind of a big.
well, Resident Evil would be
See,
before
I
that.
almost put that, but you guys would have
No.
like.
I know. I
raked me over
wouldn't
the
fight
coals.
for it, but it's
Yeah.
But
Capcom,
here's the
so-
thing: don't be surprised if Dino Crisis is on there.
Yeah, all right.
I will be, man. If Dino Crisis is,
I'll be
I
pretty
will be
surprised.
surprised.
Yeah, especially if they leave Castlevania out. Volume 2, guys, it's coming. Like, no.
All right. So moving on.
That's a good one, Nick. That's not a bad choice. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're right. They're
I
defenders of that series to
I
this
feel
day.
very strongly about Mega Man Legends, but I
And
squeezed
it's been
it off my
mistreated. Like
list.
Capcom is not.
Yeah.
It's not getting the.
Well, and they were supposed to come out with like a third Mega Man Legends, and they scrapped it. This was like 10 years ago.
The second
maybe.
was released,
Yeah.
and
And
the third was like
yeah.
in development, but
Well, there was like
canceled or something.
yeah.
Well, too, these legacy games that they've been releasing, like they're just not even mentioning them there either. You know, like they're just going with like the X series. And
Yeah.
the Mega
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, these never get re-released.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So even though
they never get the love.
I think it would satisfy a very small hardcore debate, like
Yeah.
base.
Yeah.
But
Like
that would thrill a lot of people. Though,
I didn't
for sure.
include it on my list, but I feel like it's got to be there. It just has to.
that. That could be an upset. That could be an upset. And I didn't think about it.
Yeah. So anyway, so Mortal Kombat 3 was another that I included,
Oh.
which I just, that was so important for the PlayStation because for a little while it was exclusive to the PlayStation,
Yeah.
and so it was a big deal when it came out, but didn't put it on the list.
Yeah,
so,
I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and I accept that.
Yeah. I wouldn't be upset if it was. I'd be happy if it was.
Yeah. Another that I just feel Persona 2, the Persona series is very, very popular.
Yeah.
Is that an RPG?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, not really one I really played a lot at all, really, but recognize that there's the fans.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just kind of jotted this one down. I don't even know why this is still here. It's not really a runners up, but Toomba, that's not gonna happen.
I don't know.
Very colorful
I don't know.
character.
Yeah, you don't know.
That's pretty
Yeah.
popular.
Toomba, yeah.
Yeah, I would actually put that one pretty
Yeah.
high.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
right.
but that's all I've got. Yeah.
All right. So let's start cutting
I've got a
some
wild
fat,
card.
guys.
I've got a wild card.
What you got?
Oh, okay.
Croc, Legend of Gobos.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. It's another mascot game, right?
Right,
Basically.
right.
You never know.
There was a lot.
Yeah, there were. There were tons and tons. Now, no, never mind. I was thinking of that raccoon game, but that was PlayStation 2.
Oh, Sly.
Sly the Raccoon, Sly,
Yeah. Thievius
Sly-
Raccoonus.
Sly Bandicoot almost came
No,
out.
Was it just Sly
Cooper.
Fox? Cooper, yeah, Sly
Sly
Cooper.
Cooper.
Sly Cooper. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love those games. Those are really good. But yeah, that's a PlayStation 2 game. All right, so so here's what we got.
Should we just run through and say
Let's run through
yes or no?
Of course, Jumping Flash, Final Fantasy VII, Ridge Racer 4, Tekken 3, Wild Arms in for sure.
Those are.
Castle-
Can we pause on those for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so Jumping Flash, that was really early on in the system, right?
It was.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII is a no-brainer.
Right.
Ridge Racer Type 4. I guess it was a really good-looking game.
I remember those Ridge Racer games being really popular.
I do too.
Yeah.
They were
It
kind
looks
of like
really good.
I mean, you saw like that girl like everywhere.
Yeah.
it was your arcadey racing version on the PlayStation. Like, you know, you didn't have cruising, but you had those games, and they were real arcadey. And you know, like it was nice counter release to your Gran Turismo games.
And it's 2-player, so it's got head-to-head 2-player split
And
screen.
it was one of the
versus mode.
first games that really utilized drifting in their games. Like that, I feel like I remember the Ridge Racer games being one of the first games where they really incorporated drifting as a way to, you know, get ahead, you know, race a little better, get faster. So I don't know. But yeah, so Metal Gear Solid in Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Martin. Crash.
Let it go, man.
I'll let it go for the sake of the list. I'm just gonna say the first one.
Okay.
Driver. I think Driver's in, but
No
that's
way.
one of the first questionable ones. So let's just see what happens here.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no to Driver.
Let's go ahead and put Parappa in.
Parappa, yes.
So Parappa makes it 9.
It's going to be the sequel.
That's a long shot at best. Oh, shoot. All right, so we got 9. Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider, yes.
I kind of think it'll be 2.
It's going to be the first one.
I don't care which one, but Tomb Raider, yes.
So, you know, I will admit that that's probably in there. Let's see. Twisted Metal, I think, is a yes.
Yeah. Again, I don't care which one, but yes.
Yeah, I think Twisted Metal's kind of in there.
It's probably going to be the second one.
I think
I'll agree with you all there.
we're going to go out on a limb and
we
say
keep
the
picking
second.
the very
two.
first in the series.
Say 2. Because you got to... Tekken 3, you got to have some kind of... It can't just all be the first one.
And I think Spyro should go on there. We're still kind of halfway through, and I think it's a safe enough bet to say that it'll be on
It'd be
there.
nice for it to be on there.
So I feel like it's pretty safe
Yeah,
bet.
Spyro.
Crash Team Racing. I think we already kind of agree that would be that makes sense.
We've allowed it.
We've allowed it. That's my big victory. I can let Driver go, I guess, even though I love Driver.
Yeah, Driver's gone.
Now it's getting down to the nitty gritty. Okay, Hot Shots was a really
Shots,
interesting,
Hot
choice.
Shots, yes. It's like the
definitely gonna
only
be on
like
there.
other sports one. So Hot Shots, yes.
It makes a lot of sense, and I'm gonna go ahead and say. Now, would you say the original? Was there another Hot Shots or?
I don't know.
I didn't get that detailed. Just one of them's going to be on there.
Yeah, we'll just say a Hot Shots game.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. It covers the sports genre, and
It may be
those
the
golf
only-
games are real timeless. I think.
It may be the only sports game on there, like true sports game.
Yeah, I think it probably will because I don't necessarily consider racing games sports games.
No.
Okay, Resident Evil got to be on there. One of them, right?
Yeah. Be it
definitely.
1 or 2. We'll say yes.
Okay, Gran Turismo.
And Martin's kind of convincing me it may not, but if there's no licensing issues, then it's a absolute. But
I don't
it's
think
questionable.
anybody's looking for it. You know what I mean?
I think people are definitely looking for it.
I don't know.
But again, I would say if given the fans a choice, and they're being honest, Crash Team Racing would be the one they choose, especially if it lets you get in a game like Silent Hill
Can you
or
set
Chronicles.
it like on the sidebar? It's not like a no like driver, but it's a kind of
Yeah, it's a sidebar.
All right, let's.
But we got to talk about Wipeout too. I mean, are we definitely saying that Wipeout's on there? We only have one racing game, and Twisted Metal's vehicular combat. It doesn't count.
We've got to drop some of these racing games. We've already said driver.
Well, I'll put it to you this: which is more likely, Wipeout or Gran Turismo?
Wipeout.
It depends on the licensing thing, but I guess Wipeout.
Sony owns Wipeout company.
Yeah, so I
Psygnosis.
guess Wipeout would be.
It's a controversial choice, but I'm going to go with it as well.
Yeah.
I think Wipeout was a very seminal property. They're still making the game.
It came out on PlayStation
And
3,
that we know of.
PSP.
Now
Vita.
there could be some licensing issues with music because I think they would utilize some techno songs that were actual songs that weren't their own. That
True.
But
True.
but they weren't like Eagles songs. Like they might be able. They could have been Sony properties.
Just club
for all we know.
songs, yeah.
Yeah,
they
just
made.
club songs.
Yeah.
That for a hot minute, those like techno songs were real popular, and those techno songs were kind of a big part of the success, I think, of those games. A lot of people remember those techno songs,
Right.
So it kind of made the game was like real fast paced. We're down to our last 4.
If they do indeed have this on there, that would be pretty awesome. Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, but
so okay.
I don't
We got 4 left, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at Silent Hill, and I'm thinking it could make it. It could still make it.
Well, how many did we have? Like, what number are we at?
We have 16 on the list. So
Oh,
we're down to our
that's what you
final
meant by
4.
4. Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought you were like we were.
No, I'm sorry.
There's a
No,
lot
we
more
have
than-
4 we can put on still.
Okay.
I think we need to have another RPG on there.
I think Chronicles is a really good candidate. I
Well,
think,
what else you got on the list?
Okay,
I think
well,
you
we
may-
have
I think-
Driver,
I think
and a
it's
lot
supposed
of
to be-
people think Driver's going to be on there, and I do too.
I thought we already dropped it.
Well, I thought we sidebarred it. Did we? You dropped it right away. You were over there dropping it, but I'm not so ready to drop it just yet. Martin, what do you say? No licensing to worry about. It has its fans. It is a dead franchise.
Was it multiplayer?
No.
But we still don't.
No,
we
I
still
don't
have
think it
like
will.
10 other games to choose.
I don't
4
think it
of.
will.
Yeah, but I don't feel super strongly about a lot of these games.
I don't think Driver will be on there.
Okay, all right, fine.
I think that Final Fantasy Tactics will be on there.
Is it Final Fantasy Tactics?
Yeah,
Not
Tactics.
Chronicles, okay.
Chronicles is on GameCube.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Tactics is what it was on your list.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I mean, it's not. It's not a game I love or really even want on there. I just think it'll be on there.
Okay.
So
It'll definitely appease the RPG because
we have 2 RPGs on the list of 20 right
You
now.
think they'll be
I think
more
they're
than
different
7?
enough. Final Fantasy VII is, the story version of role playing. Then Final Fantasy Tactics is the turn-based version role playing, and then what's the other one? Wild Arms.
Yeah.
Is that like an action RPG?
I don't know. I think I would. I think
Maybe
it's
it's
turn-based. I think it's
turn-based?
turn-based, honestly. But I think it's supposed to have a really good story, and it for sure has a lot of fans out there still. It shows up quite a bit on like top 20 lists too. So,
What else you got?
I got Silent. Okay, so who we got? Well, we already took Gran Turismo off, I guess.
Tactics is on a lot of systems, so I
Yeah.
guarantee they'll probably push it out on that.
Let's see. Well, we got Siphon Filter, which I feel like we kind of ruled it out
No.
because of Metal Gear Solid.
Too many other to choose from. No. I
Okay.
say no.
All right. Parasite Eve, which I feel like Silent Hill would go on before, but that's just my personal opinion. I forgot about Parasite Eve. But
I
know-
disagree.
Oh, you would go to bat more for Parasite Eve than Silent Hill?
I would say Parasite Eve before Silent Hill.
I
I might be convinced to drop Parasite Eve. But
mean, like I said, I feel like there's more fun. I think there's more nostalgia for Silent Hill. It's difficult for me to say because I didn't play Parasite Eve ever, and I didn't play Silent Hill much. But I know that a lot of people would like to see it on the list.
and Silent Hill has a movie.
Silent Hill has a movie. There's nostalgia for Silent Hill. People wanted that game to come out really bad that got dropped. So
So do we think there's going to be 2?
Assuming there's no licensing issues or anything, then it might.
I
it might
think
be
there
on
could
there.
be 2. I mean, especially since survival horror was a pretty
Would they go with
popular
Silent
genre.
Hill, the first one, or one of the sequels?
Probably the first one. I don't. If they put a sequel in, it wouldn't shock me. But I would just say that this, maybe the Silent Hill is the one I just hear of the most. So I don't know. I guess we're not ready to rule on that one.
No.
Oddworld.
Yeah, it was on my list. So
I feel like there would
Y'all
be
need to
others
argue.
before it, but
Do you? It's definitely a weird choice. Not a weird choice. That's not what I mean. It's a goof.
So
It may still have some fans.
I think
don't
it's
know.
it
very
needs
valid.
to fill
But
that category. Of
There
the-
are no other games on the list like
what
it.
other games are on the back of this box?
Yeah, there's
Gex.
Steel Rain. And,
Gex Enter the Gecko.
Kart World.
That'll be on the 3DO mini.
Bushido Blade. Blasto.
You know, Bushido Blade.
Man, I forgot about
Bushido Blade.
Colony Wars.
I would
was
actually
popular
buy
back in the
it
day.
if it had Bushido Blade.
That has.
I would
its
actually buy it
fans.
if it had Bushido
You know,
Blade.
1 was a really fun little popular game too there for a little while.
Porsche Challenge. I remember playing that.
Yeah.
It actually looked pretty good back in the day.
Man, I would put Bushido Blade on there just to have another fighting game.
I would actually put Bushido
'Cause
Blade on there.
At this point, we're starting to get like at least 2 of like all these different genres.
I would think Toshinden would be on there before Bushido Blade, though, right?
No.
Man, you poo-pooed Toshinden instantly.
Well, that's just how little I feel that like Bushido Blade would be on there. I would consider Toshinden be a more notable series, at least, because
Bushido Blade
it
has
was the first.
Tenchu would be over that.
Oh yeah, well I mean yeah, I think I honestly still think Tenchu should be considered. You know,
Who makes Tenchu? Who made it?
I don't know.
I do.
Was it Tecmo, Temco, or Tecmo? I don't know.
You know, it feels weird.
Yeah, I don't
You know,
know who they are.
it feels weird not to have a football or basketball game on this.
It's not gonna happen.
It's developed by
I
Acquire.
know, but it feels weird not to
published,
have
I
one
forget
on
who
there.
published
It's
it.
not going to happen. Trust me, it won't happen. It won't please anybody. Like it, people really advocated for Punch Out and Tecmo Bowl.
Was there an NBA Jam or anything on PlayStation?
That series had petered out by then.
Yeah.
They probably released some sort of all-inclusive
Like
edition
maybe
or something.
like Extreme or something came
Yeah.
out on it.
No,
I forget. Or
yeah.
Hang Time.
I'll
one-
eat my
one
hat
of
if they
those.
put a basketball or football game on there.
I'm just saying, it just seems weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. They probably won't.
And I don't want them to because
I
they would
think
play
with a
like
couple-
garbage.
Right.
You know.
I think with a couple driving games and the golf game, we're good for sports.
Yeah.
You're active folk. Well, should we go ahead? Can we? Martin and I seem to think Tactics is going to be on there. So I mean, can we just
feel
put
like
that
it's
on
gonna
there?
be on there.
That's fine.
I feel like
Yeah.
it'll be on there.
You can leave it.
All right, so we got 3 left. 3 left.
What else you got?
I mean, there's the Klonoa. I mean, Alundra, Warhawk.
I don't think Klonoa.
I think most of these are like, nah. Sakoden or
Destruction Derby.
No.
Destruction Derby. I kind of don't
That
think will be.
that's
But it's another car.
Yeah.
it's silly enough to where they would put it on there.
I mean, it's very PlayStation-y. I would allow
What
it.
else, what else does Sony have?
I mean, here's my opinion of.
I feel like you're hiding other games.
I'm
from-
not.
yeah.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not. I was hiding one of my own games. I think personally, if you got 3 to go, Silent Hill, Oddworld, and Tenchu. Those are the 3 that I'm leaning towards.
Man, you are strong about Tenchu, even though you do not like that game.
I feel that it has enough fans. I think it's a game that people are crying for. They really want that
I think
game.
it's forgotten.
Okay. All right. But I do feel really
I
strongly about...
I would allow Silent Hill.
I'm kind of leaning towards Silent Hill.
And I love Tenchu. I just don't think it'll be on there.
Okay.
But Silent Hill, I don't know if it's going to be the first one or not.
It could sneak in at the end, but I kind of feel like Oddworld's a good safe choice.
What was the? There were a couple of games coming to mind now. It was like a jester on the front of the cover. And
Pandemonium.
Pandemonium. I feel like that game would be on
yeah,
there.
I remember that was like on the on rails kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
The screen moved along. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
okay.
I feel like
It
they'd
was
do
okay.
something like that.
What about a game like Frogger? Remember that PlayStation game? That was fun.
I don't think so.
And they wouldn't
Well,
put
a
any-
big thing about Frogger was it had the 4-player tap, the multi-tap.
Yeah.
So because of that alone, I think not.
That Namco series was huge, but that won't.
Oh no, it won't have a
I know.
Namco museum.
Because
no.
that wouldn't be on there.
Right.
No.
But that was a big seller for PlayStation. You had the NAMCO,
Yeah.
5 volumes.
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I love the Namco
Smart.
museum.
I would. Okay, so I'm thinking Silent Hill, Oddworld, and
So what are you dropping?
Another-
Thinking those?
what's that?
Which ones are you dropping when you're thinking those?
Well, I'm thinking not Klonoa or Alundra.
I'll
or,
agree with that.
Or Warhawk or
Well,
Sakoden or
Warhawk.
Klonoa, I don't know.
You really?
Yeah, I think Klonoa might actually be on there.
I don't know.
I just
It's
over a Crash game.
Yeah, in favor of Crash, Spyro. What else did we say?
Yeah, but it's
I mean,
broad
Crash
enough.
and Spyro
where
and
kids
Parappa
would
were like
want it.
your, PlayStation mascot guys.
Was it 2-player?
What?
Klonoa.
No.
See
It would have been if I'd have made it.
Yeah, but I think Warhawk's the only other little bit compelling game that's on the list, just because it was a big success.
It's weird
for them
enough.
early.
Either that, or they would go with one of the air combat, Ace Combat games.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
don't have a
yeah.
plane.
I forgot about that series.
That
too.
was
Ace
pretty-
Combat's actually a good pick.
That was pretty popular.
I would put.
I remember
Ace
seeing that in the
Combat
demo
before
back in the day.
Warhawk,
That
just
was
to
awesome.
have an airplane game.
Yeah, I would. Ace Combat's actually a real good pick, and they even have a new one coming out really soon.
Oh, really?
5, I think. It's got a VR mission and some other stuff.
Yeah.
That is a good one, and I could see that over a lot of these other ones that we have.
Put it on the bottom list at
Okay.
least.
Ace Combat.
Put it on there, even though none of us said it at the time.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's a
new
very
to the
PlayStation-y
list.
game.
It'll come out and bite us. It'll be on there.
Yeah.
It's a PlayStation-y game. I mean, it has a lot of fans.
It was like a
I
launch
say
title,
goes
wasn't
on the
it?
list.
I don't know.
I
don't know
think
if it was a
so.
launch
I think
title or
so.
not.
Yeah, it goes.
Driver too, man. I'm just saying. It's a really popular game back in the day. But I mean, we have Crash. We have Crash Team Racing and Wipeout. So
I
kind of got your driving games.
The
covered.
only reason, Driver's on my list.
Yeah.
The only reason I said take it off is just because I felt like we had a lot of car games.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm honest, I can see Wipeout over Driver, just because it's a Sony property. And
Right.
So, I mean, if you feel like we have room, then okay, put Driver back on. Because like I say, it's on my list. I mean, I said it originally.
Yeah. But, it's a racing game, but it's also like an adventure game. Because you're constantly, like, running from the cops. I mean, it's not like you're going around a track or anything.
Yeah.
It's almost like more like an adventure game, to be honest.
You can hit it.
We'll see.
I haven't found anything else so far. Except for Oddworld.
So-
I've kind of said a couple times already that I think Oddworld makes sense.
Did you add Ace Combat?
Down here at the bottom I did, yeah. Not on the list.
I say it needs to go on the list.
You think it
Even
needs
though
to?
none of us said it, I think it's a new entry that it belongs. That's my vote.
Mr. Driller.
Mr. Triller. No.
What was that the dice game that came out? Was that like a PlayStation game?
Dice.
Yeah, there was like a
Oh,
little
Devil's Dice. Or
yeah,
something.
something like it was a little puzzle game that was kind of popular for a minute.
I don't remember that.
So here's the games we're mulling over. Nick's already said Ace Combat because I think he just wants to be done with it, and he feels kind of it's a PlayStation game.
Yeah, I think Ace Combat.
Battle Arena Toshinden, I don't feel strong about. Parasite Eve, I don't feel so strong about. Oddworld, I feel kind of like it might show up over even Ace Combat, but Ace Combats, there were a lot of Ace Combat games that came out for PlayStation.
This is a Sony property, though.
Warhawk is.
I put Toshinden on my list, and I feel stronger about Ace Combat than Toshinden.
Okay. All right. And it would be the airplane game. It kind of like seems like there could be an airplane game.
I do feel like
it'll be over Warhawk, I think.
I do feel like we've only got one fighter, but that's and that one fighter was already one they released themselves. But
yeah, Tekken makes the most sense
what
of
it
all.
is.
Yeah. I don't know, Martin. Is there anything that you're holding out for?
If we felt like there needed to be another fighter, I would fight for Bushido Blade.
I would rather. Okay, so let's think about this. Fighting games were very hugely popular at this time.
Yeah.
PlayStation was
RPGs were too, though.
They were
very popular.
They were very, very popular.
Super Puzzle Fighter.
Possibly the. And
We
I
don't
remember
really
that.
have a puzzle game.
Yeah.
Tetris 2. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Or no, was it or Tetris Plus? What whichever that new the Tetris that had like it was like an explorer guy, and like spikes were coming down from the ceiling or something, and you had to like the guy kept climbing up on the Tetris blocks, and he would
I
get
vaguely
killed by
remember.
the
I don't remember what
spikes.
it's called. Mr. Driller was kind of a very PlayStation.
Yeah, it was
game.
it was Tetris, but with the little explorer guy like running around everywhere. Yeah, we don't have a puzzle game.
We
though.
don't have a puzzle game. I don't know if Parappa fit. That's why it's a rhythm game.
Did they have a lot of puzzle games?
I don't think they're known for it, honestly.
Yeah,
I think that was more your handheld.
I think we'll be okay without a puzzle game.
Yeah, I don't think that necessarily we need to get that. I you know what? I'll say Ace Combat 2. And Martin, unless you can make a real strong case for anything else, I think Ace Combat kind of sums it up.
Hell, he's the one that brought it up.
Yeah, you did bring it up.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Ace Combat? All right. We got our list, everybody.
All right, well, tell me again what got dropped.
Here's what got dropped. Battle Arena to Shinden,
Okay.
Parasite Eve,
Yeah, okay.
Oddworld.
Oh, I thought we included that.
No, I kept saying I think it makes sense, but like somebody would like not agree with me and say put it on the list.
I'd put that instead of Driver, because Oddworld's like a puzzle
because
game.
I said take off Driver a long time ago because of too
Well,
many
but
car
then
games.
you're
He's
so
sneaking it back
wishy-washy.
on.
You're
He's
like,
sneaking them
Driver was
on.
on my list.
Well, that was just because I felt like we, like every time I'm like, tell me the list. You would say like one or two games and then like go off on something. You were like hiding stuff.
You guys would definitely put Oddworld over Driver?
Yes.
Yeah, because we've got so many car games.
Damn it.
He is just so fighting for it.
No.
All right.
I mean, when the thing comes out and Driver's on it, you can yell at me then.
I told you so. Okay.
Unless Mr. Driller's on there.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, games that got dropped. So, yeah, Oddworld, that's no longer dropped. The Klonoa game, Alundra, Warhawk, Sokoden or whatever it was. Tenchu, Destruction Derby, and Ace Combat. Oh, no, that's on the list. Sorry. Destruction Derby was the last one that kind of got cut.
Which in Destruction Derby, it's a shame, but there's just so many driving games.
Yeah. It wouldn't shock me, but I doubt it.
I mean, Oddworld, I think, gives that something different.
It does. And I think it makes sense. I really do. I think it makes sense. And it was a game that I had on my list, and it got bumped down.
Yeah, because I said to drop Driver like first thing a long time ago, and he wouldn't ever like allow it.
Well, when you said like sidebar, I thought maybe it was back on the table a little bit. You know, like maybe we'll keep it on the list.
That's the only reason I agreed. Well, okay, put it back on there. 'Cause I thought we decided, that
All right, guys, we got 20. We got a pretty solid 20. We've fought and argued and made our cases, and I feel like I got one solid victory. I feel like Martin got more victories than anybody if I'm looking at this list. Well, Tactics is kind of like the one that I fought for.
He makes a good argument.
He makes good arguments. Okay, so here is what we believe will be the 20 games that make the most sense. These aren't our personal lists. I'll list each of our personal 15 in the comments section or the descriptions.
We'll see.
We'll keep score. We're going to keep score.
That'll be interesting to see like which one is the closest, whether it was like the combined list or one of our individuals. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, the one where we put our heads together and argued, or in the individual. That's a good point, Nick. I'll be really interested to see who wins that scorecard.
Yeah.
The combined, or was one of us just really right and the other they just gave in. Me. No, sorry. All right, so I'm not going to say the 5 again because we already did that. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Crash Bandicoot 1, Parappa the Rapper, Tomb Raider or Tomb Raider 2, one or the other. Twisted Metal 2. Martin, I feel pretty strongly about that. Nick's like any of them probably would be good.
Yeah.
Spyro Year of the Dragon or Spyro the first one, one or the other.
Whatever.
It's hard to say. Crash Team Racing, that was kind of one that kind of came up a little, it snuck in there. We made some good arguments for that, so that was a good victory, I think, for me. Hot Shots Golf, that was a great inclusion that kind of came out of nowhere, honestly. It makes sense. It fits the sports bill. It's the only true sports game, but it's like one of those, golf games have really not changed a ton even since the NES era. The graphics keep getting better, but, golf is a game that kind of like still holds up okay. It doesn't have to have great graphics. Then we got Resident Evil or Resident Evil 2, You guys are more leaning towards Resident Evil, the first one.
I don't know. I can't decide. I can really see 2 being the one that they would include.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Wipeout XL, that's another one that kind of, was a good appealing, good argument that Martin made. Should be on there. It's kind of didn't consider it, but it makes all the sense in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy Tactics. It turns out, it was an RPG heavy console, and it makes sense that they could have 3 RPGs out of 20. That's not too far fetched. And those are probably the 3. Well, I don't know about necessarily Wild Arms if it was the most popular, but it does have its hardcore fans.
Yeah.
Then after that, we got Silent Hill, which I got. I fought and won for that, so I can't complain too much. I think it's a great nostalgia game. I think a lot of fans will be really happy if that's on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we could have 2 survival horror games. I think we can fit that on there. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, or no, not Abe's Odyssey. What was the first one?
Yeah, that was the one.
Was that it? Okay.
Yeah.
It's to Nick's point. It's a good, different alternative to the other games. It's a good change of pace game, and I really do. I think of the PlayStation when I think of that game, so that makes all the sense in the world to me. And then Ace Combat, which just sort of came out of Martin just sort of pulled it out of a hat.
Yeah.
What about Ace Combat? I'm like, yeah, that was a very, very PlayStation heavy. There was at least 3 on the PlayStation 1, right?
I think so.
So he let Klonoa go. I was just realizing that because you were kind of felt strong that it would be.
I did.
There.
I did.
Yeah. Well, again, we'll each have our own lists, and we'll see who.
But I think
got it
having
the most
a
right.
flight simulator, airplane type
I
game
agree.
makes sense.
I think Ace Combat had to be there.
It was a dominant genre for the PlayStation era, so I think that's a good list. So that's our 20. We're all still friends afterwards. Geez, can you imagine if we had to fight out over a Nintendo console or something?
Oh, Lord.
It'd be rough. And PlayStation's the one I care the least about. So, but I do have mine pre-ordered. You'll get one, Martin. I'm hoping you'll be pleasantly surprised that they'll listen and they'll put the majority of the games that you want on there.
They'll have Castlevania.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
It'll happen. It has to, or people won't buy it. That's just the bottom line.
Oh, people will buy it no matter what.
Yeah, well, some people will, yeah, but a lot of people won't, I think. So that's just one of those must-have games. It's a lot of people's, it's one of the top 10 games, a lot of people's for any console. So it's got to be there.
True.
All right, so that was fun. BitGeek Podcast is a video and audio. We're available in video and audio. YouTube.com/BitGeek. That's where you can find us there on YouTube. If you're listening in audio, you can find us anywhere. Spotify, iTunes, wherever. We're available there. And if you don't mind, if you could rate us, give us a nice rating. You wouldn't mind if you got a minute and you like the show. If not, I understand. You got better things to do. We have a presence over on Facebook where Nick maintains that pretty well. He just keeps adding galleries for
photos.
Yeah, photos and
just cool things.
Yeah, just neat things that if you are listening and you're not watching the video, sometimes you don't get to appreciate some of the things we're showing in the video. So Nick will go out and post those things sometimes.
Some behind the scenes.
Like when we were talking about the pictures in the Game Boy episode, and I think you went and you did you post those pictures of the
no.
Is he playing the flute or what?
No, I didn't post those.
Oh, okay. Well,
I can still. I haven't though.
I figured you would have done that for sure because you actually went to the trouble of kind of filling in the pictures.
Yeah. So now that you bring it up and talk about it, I'll have to do it.
Yeah. So look for that too from our viewer recommended episode we did. For
I
Game
did
Boy.
post some Transformer pictures just because they were cool that we've never even talked about.
Oh yeah,
on the
well,
show.
just if you like the kind of things that we like Nick just recently got a cliff jumper.
Yeah, it's like a third party kind of masterpiece
style. Yeah. So if you're just into the stuff that we're into, you'd be interested to check out our Facebook page, and that's facebook.com/thebitgeeks. I'm available at Twitter. You can find me there at Twitter at Ron Avis.
And I'm at Nicholas J. Wright.
Yep. And
I'm also there at Martin Reimer.
And the show is on Twitter too. You can find us just at the BitGeek. Or not it's just BitGeek Podcast. So drop just BitGeek Podcast. where I try to get on there and let people know if there's going to be an episode coming out this week or not. We have kind of a hit or miss schedule. Sometimes we just can't record for whatever reason. But if you're not sure if a new episode is going to be releasing, which it usually does on Thursdays, you can check there. And, there's been a lot of people that's started following us on the BitGeek Twitter. So thanks a lot for that. If you're one of those people and you found us from that, it's been really cool talking to some of you guys on Twitter. There's like a really cool like retro gaming community that's, I've been tweeting back and forth with, and that's been a lot of fun. So thanks if you're here because of that. But that's been our show for this week. I don't think I left anything else as far as, house cleaning goes, housekeeping.
No, leave your comments for, what 15 do you think will be on the PlayStation Classic?
Yeah, we would love to see that. Nick and I are always excited to see new comments, people interacting with us from the show. I would love to see more and more of that, really. So let us, don't be afraid to drop a comment. Let us know if there's some games that you feel really strongly. Make your case. Yeah. You saw us make our cases, so you make your case too. If you're just going to drop a game, you let us know why it should be on there,
right?
And which game should be taken off.
And we might be convinced.
Yeah, we might be convinced.
You're right.
It could go on Volume 2 if there is a Volume 2. But I've been your host, Ron Avis.
I'm Nick Wright.
Martin Reimer.
See you next week.
This is a Mock Beats production. This is a Mock Beats production.